No worries, man. We got a lot to go. You didn't know there was shooting in Buffalo? Bro, it was like huge. How'd the party go? I almost got to the part where I was able to help out, but Alondra handled it. So I listened the whole way, moving from one game to the next. That had the potential to be a colossal shit show. Yeah, I didn't want to tell you it had that kind of potential because I didn't want to make you nervous. I was like, just do what's here, do what's in front of you, and you're good. I figured. It went from there will be 15 minutes between the games to first pitch will be 2:02, and I'm texting Michelle and Chris and Cade on my way down on the elevator. First pitch will be 2:02. As the elevator doors open, Michelle texts me back. Chris Blair just said first pitch is 1:47. I'm like, that changed in the time it took me to get from the fifth floor to the first. Yeah. And we can go, yeah, not at any one of us, though. More at the SEC. Yeah. Yep. Morning, everybody on YouTube. I'll be there in 1 second. Ain't gun laws. 617 Talk 107.3 FM WBRP. Gonna have to move quickly in this segment. We got a lot of ground to cover sports wise. Let's start off with this. LSU Softball. Your home for LSU Softballs right here on Talk 107.3 FM. They're going to make their 23rd NCAA tournament appearance after receiving the number 2 seed in the Tempe Regional, May 20th through 22nd. The LSU Softball Tigers will be on the road at Arizona State. Now, Arizona State is the number 8 seed. So when it comes to where you're going to land on the road, national seed-wise, they're right in the middle. They get the last national seed as opposed to getting in those 9 through 16, which would be lower than that, but you'd have to face a higher seed once you got past that. Any Hoosers, not the bad spot, not the worst spot for them to be. Over to LSU baseball heading into Sunday. Surely the LSU baseball Tigers will not be swept by Ole Miss. I mean, when you've got the bats that LSU's got, when you have the potential to put up highlights like this home run from Trey Morgan.
It's high and deep to right field. It is in the diamond deck. See ya! Trey Morgan ties the game with a leadoff home run here in the bottom of the 4th inning. Morgan goes deep and wastes little time on the pitch offered up by Derek Diamond. Home run number 5 for the Tiger first baseman.
Side note, having the last name Diamond is absolutely poetic for a pitcher. That's neither here nor there. The story per WBRZ. Never in the long and storied history of Ole Miss baseball have the Rebels come into Baton Rouge and left with 3 straight wins. That changed Sunday as Ole Miss blasted 3 home runs in their 8-5 win over the Tigers Sunday afternoon at Alex Box Stadium. LSU loses the game, loses the series, gets swept in the series, puts themselves back in the precarious position of needing to accumulate wins in order to maintain their postseason presence. Quick break for the Fox Business Report. Coming back, talking Saints football next. Good morning, Christy. I assume Christy's up and at 'em this morning. Last full week of carpool. Morning sunshine. We're going to need to go for a run today. Absolutely. And good morning. Good morning, Ray. Good morning, Clint. Good morning, Eric. Condon coming up in 15 minutes. What are you asking, Cade? A racist and radicalized 18-year-old walked up in a store in a black neighborhood because he knew it was a black neighborhood and just started blasting people, killed 10, hurt more than that. That part I don't know. Let me find that one out. Saturday. Christy wants to know if I'm doing my priest reassignment bit. Yes, in the last segment of the show. Learn how to spell segment, moron. I'm not seeing where it says if this POS is dead. I got 4 pages worth of AP story here. It doesn't say there. I pulled up the story on CNN. It doesn't say there. Okay. Oh, there it is. Gendron, surrender to police. Okay. Gendron? .624 Talk 107.3 FM WBRP. Mornings with Brian Haldane, rolling right along. Sometimes we have more sports than we have minutes for, and this morning is one of them. As the full free agent class for the Saints came out on Friday, heading into the weekend. Actually, I think I saw it on Saturday. Anyway, last season the Saints had one of the worst wide receiving corps in the NFL. Not a single wideout caught 50 passes or top 700 yards. Now, to be fair, they still had one of the best receivers in the NFL, if not the best receiver in the NFL, on the roster, just out for the season hurt. And to be fair, to make sure you're 100% fair, it was a quarterback shuffle throughout most of the season. There were games where Ian Book played. Ian Book. Anywho. The nobody topping 700 yards or catching 50 passes, that's something that hasn't happened since the 80s. This season, stacking up to be the polar opposite. This season, the cupboard is full. All-Pro Michael Thomas expected to be back to full strength. First-rounder Chris Olave, also from the Ohio State University, going to be out there as well. And now you could add the signing of five-time Pro Bowler, former LSU star Jarvis Landry.
We all have different types of skill sets. Me and Mike more similar. But at the end of the day, I think we all are a problem, especially here in this offense where, things are interchangeable, personnels, different types of personnels, different weapons. You can't ever leave out AK and the things that he does for the running game.
Landry made the Pro Bowl each year from 2015 to 2019 with the Dolphins and Browns respectively, averaging 96 receptions and over 1,000 yards per season during that span. Now, injuries have slowed him down the last few years, but according to Rod Walker from NOLA.com, he says Landry brings plenty to the table.
And I count on this guy to come in and be the number one guy. Best could be the number 3 receiver and on an offense that's loaded with weapons. I don't really think they need to get that third guy, but I think that they did. It just speaks volumes of what this team wants to do.
It does. It absolutely does speak volumes for not only what the team wants to do, but where they can go. Where's the ceiling on what will be Jameis Winston's offense this year, or what would have been Jameis Winston's offense last year? It was a slow build, right? Everybody was moving that transition from Drew Brees to Jameis Winston. Where was he going to go? It looked like he was kind of they kept the handcuffs on him for the first couple games, and then as they slowly loosened things up, boom, he gets hurt. Speaking of Jameis Winston, you got to imagine with the signing of Jarvis Landry, and this was big news Friday afternoon, with the signing of Jarvis Landry, he's got to be just the happiest guy around. Saints giving him a much better arsenal to work with this season than he had last year.
He comes back from his injury healthy like he says he is, and he plays like he did those first few games before he got injured last season. I mean, I think they've set him up perfectly for success.
So this opens up the entire world for Jameis Winston and the Saints offense, and it also opens up all kinds of fun for the potential of where this team can go in the post-Sean Payton era. This has been one of the biggest questions about this offseason is what's the offense going to look like? I still don't know verbatim what the offseason is going to look like. But we've got to remember, now you got Michael Thomas, Chris Olave, Jarvis Landry out wide. Oh, but wait a minute. What about all those guys from last year that were acting like the number 1 and 2 receivers out there when they weren't? What about guys like, Marquez Callaway, Deontay Hardy, Traquan Smith, Ty Montgomery, Lil Jordan Humphrey? Are they all still going to be around this year? Probably going to be in the mix, and there's probably going to be a few more as training camp hits as well. Ooh, I forgot about Ty Montgomery. That's right. There's a name we got to remember because there's going to be a lot of questions at the running back slot as well. Alvin Kamara likely going to be suspended for a handful of games somewhere throughout the season because of his altercation with the assault. So you got to subtract Alvin Kamara out of the situation for a couple games, and everybody's saying, who are the Saints going to sign at running back? You can't just go in with Kamara and Ingram because you're going to be short Kamara for a while. Enter Ty Montgomery. Could he be the stopgap that keeps things moving forward while Kamara's out? Probably. All the while, you've got Dennis Allen at the helm, and he is a defensive-minded coach. Or he comes from the defensive side of the football. He was Sean Payton's defensive coordinator. I don't know about you, but as a Saints fan, I have moved into a very comfortable looking forward to this season. As a Saints fan, I've moved into a spot where I was worried about what post-Sean Payton was going to look like to where I am now looking forward to what post-Sean Payton is going to look like.
We're cool with LSU now?
Do what?
We're cool with LSU now? LSU?
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. Oh, don't. No. Kate's trying to trigger me and my conspiracy theories. Yes, look at that. We have LSU Tigers on the roster once again. Remember that stretch where it just went forever and everybody said, no, there's no way Tom Benson's got anything against LSU players. Oh, okay. Yeah, Jarvis Landry and Honey Badger, the latest 2 LSU Tigers, and it's a good thing. Hey, visit talk1073.com right now. Citizens Bank and Trust has teamed up with us once again, this time to give you $5,000. The 5K giveaway going on right now at talk1073.com, presented by Citizens Bank and Trust. Got to go to talk1073.com to register. If you don't win the 5K, we've got other cash and prizes as well. Here comes CBS News.
Good morning, I'm Kevin Gallagher in the Talk 107.3 Baton Rouge newsroom. The state Supreme Court rules in favor of Reverend Tony Spell, the local pastor who refused to stop church services during the governor's COVID lockdown. Pastor Spell of the Life Tabernacle Church in Central was arrested for flouting stay-at-home orders. Loyola law professor Dane Cialino on the High Court's decision.
Well, the court essentially held that the free exercise clause of the First Amendment prohibited the state from enacting regulations that discriminated against religious institutions.
Spell was arrested in 2020 for violating the governor's emergency order limiting gatherings to no more than 50 people. At that time, he said anywhere up to 1,000 persons might attend services at his church. The governor disagrees with the court's ruling but says he'll abide by it. Speaking of which, as we return to a pre-COVID routine, Governor Edwards says they continue to monitor case counts and positivity rates. More on that from Brooke Thorington.
And most tests are being administered at home, and those positive rapid tests never work their way in our dashboard. So there's more COVID than the test would reflect. The percent positivity probably is not what it should be.
Edwards says the state's positivity rate is nearing 10%. It's grown from 0.07% in only 6 weeks. But he says on a positive note, hospitalizations have not mirrored the increase of case counts. So,
all in all, we're in a good place.
I'm Brooke Thorington.
Deputies have identified the suspect in Saturday's fatal shooting and 4-hour-long standoff on West Chalfont Street. East Baton Rouge Parish Sheriff's deputies say 34-year-old Henry Williams III shot his neighbor, 26-year-old Ronald LaDuff, after an argument and fistfight outside his home. LaDuff died later at a local hospital. Williams finally surrendered after several hours and has been booked with murder and other charges. And the fire department's investigating a vacant house fire around 4 Sunday morning in the 1700 block of North Acadian. The fire was ruled as arson, likely because there was no electricity or gas serving the house at the time. From the Louisiana Radio Network newsroom, Kevin Gallagher for Talk 107.3.
I think the diocese needs to have more fun, and they should do this. There he is. Richard, Alondra, Richard. Gary, what you doing, bud? We're in the post-Jake era.
What's that?
We're in the post-Jake era. Yeah. You good this morning?
Searching.
Yeah? You can't be having trouble finding stuff, huh? No.
Yeah, but it ain't like resonating. So the final of Ozark yet?
No.
7 episodes, watch them all on Saturday, and you know that's not me.
Wait.
I did. And you know what? I made fun of people for years, and I did it. It's the first show ever. I will say this, I didn't binge watch the first 3 seasons, but I thought the final one was...
I can't binge anything. I can't stay awake.
I didn't find the final 7 episodes. No. Like the first
Okay,
one, season 4,
wait.
it was okay, but the last 7?
So the last 7 are after the first 4.
Right.
Like season 4 is 11 episodes, not just 7. So I got 7 more to go.
Exactly. That's the total.
Yeah, I didn't know that.
I'll tell you one thing. If this one particular event that happened in the final show, the final episode would have happened in show number 1 of season 1 or 2, 3, I'd stop watching. I wouldn't even have continued watching.
Okay.
We may not have to get that bad. I don't think.
I thought I had one more press release in here, and I guess I just don't. Oh, there it is.
Oh, wow. I saw Paul's pictures.
Yeah.
Same thing?
Yeah.
Anything? It's the same old dog and pony show, same old.
I guess so. Yeah.
Hey, babe. You know, I told you for years, the one thing people say I hate the most is when they say, "Can I be honest with you?"
You better be honest. Yo, no, me too. Okay.
I got one that's top that.
All right.
Every time somebody tells me I'm going, so every damn time you talk to me over the last 20 years, you've been lying. But
Right.
You say you're honest with
Yeah,
me.
can I be honest with
I
you?
want to lick my finger and stick it in their ear when they do that. Can I be honest? No, please, continue to lie. That makes us better friends. You have all kinds of wires up here today, bro.
Yeah. Well, they added a cough button for me. I just can't reach it. And I got these little T-Rex arms.
That's why life's not fast.
I know.
With those little Tyrannosaurus Rex on.
It's not even started yet. 638 Talk 107.3 FM WBRP. Mornings with Brian Haldane rolling right along. All right. We like to kickstart your week by bringing Richard Condon down the hall to light a fire, or several. Rich, what's happening?
I'll tell you this right now. I'm hoping Drew Brees was drinking last night. You ever do those drunken texts?
Yeah. I had a friend text me about this.
Yeah. Drew Brees better be drunk last night doing shots at Jameson.
Okay, let me bring everybody
coming
up
out
to
and
speed.
even hinting
Yeah.
to the fact that he's thinking about what Brian's getting ready to tell you.
The tweet, I believe, was what he put out, said, despite speculation from media about my future this fall, I'm currently undecided. I may work for NBC. I may play football again. I may focus on business and philanthropy. I may train for the pickleball tour, senior golf tour, coach my kids, or all of the above. I'll let you know.
Brittany Brees better start hiding those fifths in the house. If that guy tarnishes his legacy by coming back, it would be a travesty. And what I'm thinking, imagine if this guy comes back, Saints shouldn't want him. God bless him.
No.
Jameis Winston played well, got injured. Brees can't throw the ball down the field, and then his last season in 2020, he couldn't even make the intermediate passes. Head no zip.
1,000%.
By the time he left his hand, guess what? The safety was coming up already.
No.
I'm hoping Drew Brees is just doing this for attention. You know, speculation,
Well-
having everybody thinking. Because if he thinks he's going to get a Tom Brady $126 million deal if he comes back, and one thing he better not do, because I'd be totally done with him forever. If he decides to go to Carolina or another NFL team and try to make a comeback, everything he did for the city of New Orleans, it won't be taken away, but it'll lose some shine.
Well, okay, so if he goes to a Carolina or something like that, you got to remember he's Drew Brees at like whatever 55 years old or wherever he's at now. Not like
He'll be 44 in January.
You don't want him in New Orleans, but you also don't want him elsewhere. You don't want him because he'd be ineffective, but he would be ineffective elsewhere
But
too.
I can't imagine a guy that resurrected that city after Katrina. Him and his wife and his boys and his daughter were, all raised there. For him to ever even think that the effort would be worth the payoff.
I don't think he's coming back to play football, and I think, if anything, this tweet is a perfect example of why we all need to stop fixating on celebrities.
Now, let me tell you this. I've been following LSU baseball for a long time.
Yeah.
I can never, ever remember. Now, I know about super regional losses to Stony Brook and that sort of thing, but I can never, ever remember an LSU baseball team with so much on the line. Final regular season, SEC Series weekend.
Yeah.
A regional is pretty much in your hands.
Yeah.
and you're not even going to show up over the weekend. There was a lack of competitiveness. You didn't see any energy from the guys, and I'm thinking, okay, after the rain delay on Friday, they'll come back. They'll make up the 2-run deficit. I saw something go down yesterday that I have never seen in all of my years of watching college baseball. The Game 2 starter threw 1 pitch, and they took him out.
That was weird.
Now, unless there was some unbelievable pop that you could hear in West Baton Rouge Parish in his shoulder.
Yeah.
But I was there. I didn't hear anything, and it was the strangest thing. And looking at the guys in the dugout, you just didn't see rally. You just didn't see guys intense. I never thought I would see an LSU baseball team with capital C, non-competitive.
Yeah.
I never thought. They didn't care. And, part of that, Jay Johnson's got to take a little heat for that.
A little bit.
They didn't care.
No, absolutely, absolutely.
Can you imagine LSU and Ole Miss have been playing since 1906? 1906. And that's never happened in Baton Rouge. And do you realize Ole Miss went 5-0 against LSU this year in sports that we care about?
Oh.
Basketball.
Yeah.
All right?
Yeah.
3 baseball, and Ole Miss 1 in football.
Yeah.
That can't happen.
No, it can't. I will give one exception. My one exception to that overall lack of enthusiasm is Ty Floyd. When Ty Floyd came in Saturday morning after the pause, you bring Ty Floyd out there. He threw phenomenal baseball, gave up 1 run. It was a home run to Ole Miss's big guy, what's his name, Echo or something like that. He gave up the 1 home run, but it was shut down pitching for the rest of the time. Ty Floyd's improvement is the one exception to what you were talking about.
Well, Ben, I really didn't need you to surgically break down the box score, but we appreciate that. Now, look.
I do what I do.
Now, look, let me tell you this, and you know me.
What?
The phrase that people say that really pisses me off the most.
Oh, I know this. Can I volunteer this?
Go ahead.
Rich, can I be honest with you?
See, that one, I'll actually want to lick both fingers and stick one in your ear and find another orifice. I hate when people say that. Absolutely hate it.
Me too.
So I got one that beats that.
Oh, no, you don't.
I got one that, unless you were a little nerdy kid, and now you're a liberal, progressive, goofball adult, it won't matter to you. But I got the one it is.
What?
It wasn't this hot when I was young.
Oh, stop.
You know what I want to do? I want to slit your knee with a razor blade and pour a whole bottle of Mercurochrome in the open gut. It was just as damn hot.
Yes,
Guess
it was.
what? You stayed active all day.
Yeah.
You climbed trees. You dug fish on them.
Yeah.
You put playing cards on the spokes of your tire to sound like an 8-cylinder engine. Am I right? And you came home and you had dirt in your neck and you left a scum ring around your tub.
Nope,
if you
completely
stayed
agree.
at home instead of playing with your G.I. Joe and played with a Barbie and let Mama feed you SpaghettiOs, which, by the way, was introduced on this day.
I did
years
know
ago.
that. I did know that.
It wasn't this hot when we were young. Damn
Yes,
right.
it was.
We put eggs on 9th and Chippewa when they dug up the old concrete and laid asphalt. We did legs over easy on the asphalt. They do it.
I 100% agree with this. It is a short-term memory thing that we have that I don't understand.
I remember the first week of June, we all had to go out with a light sweater. Come on, people. Now, look, B, you went in on my boy.
And the humidity was worse, too.
Yeah. Well, again, we're not taking it to the meteorological level. Let's just calm it down.
Sorry.
Now, B, you ready for this? You want a square on my board?
A square on your board.
Yeah, it's not a football board, but I got 100 squares.
Okay.
$10.
Okay.
But guess what? Since I started the board, I get to pick the square.
Okay.
And I already got my square and I already got my pick in the square.
Where's your square?
My square's the upper left-hand corner.
I want bottom right.
All right, you got it. You know what it is?
What you got?
What middle school are they going to find kids taking drugs at this week?
Oh.
I got Prescott Middle.
You got
I'm going with
Prescott. Okay, no,
Middle.
I'm going to go.
You want
let me go with a good school.
You want Glen Oaks Middle?
You know what? I want to get a little bit off the rails. Let's go Sherwood Middle Magnet.
How about McKinley Middle?
McKinley. What didn't they? Wait, do you get taken off the board once you're already in the mix once?
No.
Or was that a gun?
No. You good?
Okay.
So we had Glen Oaks Middle, and then we had what? The Democracy Prep.
Yeah.
K through 8. You remember in middle school, the only thing you got in trouble because you were chewing bazooka bubble gum?
Oh, yeah.
But guess what? While the other smart kid in front of you was paying attention, you were taking his Skittles out of his book bag.
Or when the kid in the
Now you got middle school kids getting high in middle school. You know what I did last week, though, for Glen Oaks Middle?
What'd you do?
You know that song, When You Get High?
Yeah.
I introduced that. That is their new
Afro
fight song.
Man, yeah.
And White Rabbit is their alma mater.
I like it.
I introduced it to you last
I like
week at
it
the
a
school.
lot.
You like that?
Yeah.
Now, can I ruin this for you?
Probably.
Ozark.
Oh, jeez.
You want me to go there? You want to warn you listeners?
You got a minute 20. A minute 20. Can we get it done?
I could get it done.
I could live with a spoiler. I'm still going to watch it.
Let me tell you this.
Marty Bird.
First off, everybody whining about the ending. When you get something like Ozark or The Sopranos, something that people binge watch, no matter how the damn thing ends, you're not going to be happy.
Yeah.
Somebody's going to bitch about something, right?
Yeah.
Okay. I didn't mind the ending so much, but if what happened in the final episode, okay, the second season of 4, all right, what happened in the second half of season 4, if Ruth would have got shot, Ruth Langmore, if she would have got shot in one of the previous episodes, I would have stopped watching. I'm going to tell you something.
So you basically just told me, okay.
Let me tell you this.
All right.
Ruth, and that's not how it ended. That's not how it ended.
No.
But Ruth Langmore is the best, most unbelievable character all time. In any TV show, any movie, and any series on Netflix or Hulu or HBO or whatever.
All right, I will say this, though. She's had it coming since season 2.
No, she did.
Oh, yes, she did.
No, she did.
You don't tell off the cartel and walk away.
I'm not going to ruin it anymore for you, but what that woman did,
not going to ruin it. I
what the
figured it.
CEO did at Shaw Medical, no. That is the worst one of all time. The worst move, the biggest backstab in the history of the big film.
You said Shaw, I thought Westback.
No, not Shaw here, man. Not Shaw here. Oh, and let me tell you this. You know what? A lot of LSU fans out there disappointed about LSU baseball. I am too.
Yeah.
But do you realize right now that Jay Johnson's got the #2 recruiting class in the country? And guess what? There's a lot of negativity out there with Beth Torina. Unfairly so. She lost a lot of girls. It's a young team. I know people get tired of hearing this, but guess what? She's got the #1 recruiting class come in, along with the #1 girls high school softball player in the country. I didn't know the name Crowley. She's a catcher. Unbelievable. You know what she's batting? Like 500.
That's awesome.
The girl's incredible.
That's great.
So anybody getting negative, the future does look a little better, man.
It's a weird day. It's a weird day to have Richard Condon touting recruiting classes.
I break down anything.
Johnson's got the #2 class then? Wait, what was last year's class? What was last year's class?
Throw me out of here.
No.
Yeah, I know you got some special guests.
No, we're gonna go all the way up to 650.
No, let me tell you this.
650. Get 2 more minutes.
Let me tell you this.
Yeah.
Okay. People out there make fun of people sometimes. You need to open up your eyes. You get too narrow-minded. Sometimes you're so
What the hell did I do?
You bring people down, Haldane.
I don't. I'm uplifting.
Let me tell you something. Me and a little lady, my old lady, my wife, we went to Piccadilly. We got the liver and beans. And then we went to play bingo at the VFW Hall on Monterey. And I screwed with the cherry scratch off the peelers. And so many of these purple heads with their glasses on the chain came up and said they can't listen to you. They get up every morning, get them a cup of Maxwell, and you bring them down without your negativity.
I don't. I'm not a negative guy, Rich. I'm a very positive guy.
You always
What was last year's recruiting class? #1, right?
You like human saltpeter is what you are.
Hey, we're about to get the number of people that waking up this morning that did not hear about the Buffalo shooting over the weekend. Did you hear about this?
Oh, sure. I mean, look, it's heinous. It's tragic. The guy was a white supremacist. I get it. He's got the N-word
written on his rifle.
Yeah, I mean, it's a heinous, it's a despicable act. I mean, what can you say?
Here's what
But you know what I'm going to tell you?
What's what I'm talking about in the next segment.
We get back with the parents paying the price. You can't tell me if that's your kid, there was no sign. Oh, yeah, he was an altar boy. He got the Eagle badge. Yes, ma'am, no, ma'am. His room was always clean. And he never gave you any problems, but he decides he's going to drive 300 miles and shoot 13 people. No, they need to pay a price.
He was investigated last year by the FBI. All the warning signs were there for this one.
I'm so damn sick and tired of all these guys and women being on FBI wanted list, and guess what? Nothing was ever done.
He's Richard Condon.
Let him back out.
He's Richard Condon. You catch him right down the hall on Eagle. I'm always positive. Don't even start that.
Yeah, and I'm always into the arts.
That's... Condon Uncensored right down the hall on Eagle 98.1. Appreciate you as always, Rich. I love you too. May is Military Appreciation Month. The Talk 107.3 FM wants to honor local military veterans and those that are still serving throughout the month. Let us know who you think we should recognize at talk1073.com. Here comes your money now. All right, so we're going to have to get to the break on the back end of it. Well, I'm done with my promo reads already. Have there been any live reads in the log yet? And I did not delete out all the promos. I did not zero out all my promos over the weekend. Oh. Okay, cool. Thank you. You said Mathern's? Cool. Congrats, Mathern's. You get to be tied into the segment with the Buffalo shooter. I should have moved Saints free agency to the last segment and done the Catholic draft in the 625 segment. Oh! .654 Talk 107.3 FM WBRP Mornings with Brian Haldane, rolling right along. Going to dive into this Buffalo shooter in just a minute. Before that, though, got to remind you about the folks over at Mathern's Market. You know where to find them. Downtown on 3rd Street, Nicholson Drive, right across the street from Tiger Stadium, the Nicholson Gateway Shopping Center. Both locations of Mathern's full-service grocery store. Both locations of Mathern's offer you the convenience of they'll bring your groceries out to you. Download the Mathern's app today. Get your grocery shopping done before you leave work. Pull into one of those reserved spots that they've got at either location. The parking lot at the downtown location, of course, parking is limited for a lot of folks downtown. Those two spots, the most coveted spots in the lot. Pull into the parking spot that's designated for the carry-out. They'll bring your groceries out to you. You can get your grocery shopping done before you even leave work today. I just saved you an hour out of your week. Of course, the lunch counter at both, the deli at both locations, phenomenal. The salad bar at both locations, unbelievably underrated. Mathern's Market, downtown on 3rd, or the Nicholson Gateway Shopping Center. All right, I don't fully know how to dive into this one, so I'm going to start by reading you a little bit of what the Associated Press had to say, and then we're going to dive in beyond that. Per the Associated Press, the white 18-year-old who shot and killed 10 people at a Buffalo supermarket had researched the local demographics and arrived in the area a day in advance to conduct reconnaissance with the express purpose of killing as many black people as possible, officials said Sunday. The chilling revelation prompted grief and anger in the predominantly black neighborhood around Tops Friendly Market, where a group of people gathered to lead chants of Black Lives Matter and mourn victims that included an 86-year-old woman who had just visited her husband in a nursing home and a security guard who fired multiple shots at the suspect. We're going to get back to the security guard in just a second. Quote, somebody filled his heart so full of hate that he would destroy and devastate our community, Reverend Denise Walden Glenn said. Speaking at the National Peace Officers Memorial Service at the U.S. Capitol, President Joe Biden said, we must all work together to address the hate that remains a stain on the soul of America. I'm going to pause right there and for the first time in his presidency, echo his statements. Hate is at the root of this. Guns aren't at the root of this. Media might be at the root of this, meaning that's what foments hate. But hate is at the root of this. And the number of people over the next, 48 to 72 hours before this thing magically disappears, the number of people who are going to chase so many shiny objects that are going to get us away from the topic. This is hate. How did it grow? How did it fester? How did it get to the point where it manifested itself in the way that it did? Now, you could say, unfortunately, this 18-year-old young man was taken into custody. You could say, as one person said on our YouTube chat, he's in custody too cowardly to pull the trigger on himself. I agree. But at the same time, though, we're now afforded an opportunity to figure out what brought him to this point. We're now afforded an opportunity to get inside of that sick and twisted head to see what got us here. He broadcast the damn thing on Twitch. What kind of sickness does that? What kind of sickness does this to begin with and then decides I want everyone else to see? And without seeing it, and I don't want to see it, but without seeing it, and by the way, props on Twitch for taking it down. Without seeing it, I can guarantee you that people cheered and applauded along the way. Now, some of the shiny things that are going to be chased, some of the red herrings that people are going to go after, number one, the guns. Guns are inanimate objects, though. Guns don't hate. This has to be triggered by a motivation. That motivation is this level of hate. Guns don't do that. Number two, I told you I'd get back to the security guard in just a minute. You know the anti-gun movement is going to say, I thought y'all said a good guy with a gun was the answer. Yeah, nothing's foolproof. This 18-year-old shooter had full-on body armor. He was like a walking tank walking into this thing. Nothing was going to be 100% foolproof. It still remains a good guy with a gun is going to give you better odds, but those odds are never going to be 100%. And finally, we need to start to develop numbers on how much of this hate is actually out there versus how much just garners all the headlines. Here comes CBS World News Roundup. No, it's not open season. It's one crazy asshole, and there will be multiple crazy assholes. But it's not like the whole world is white people hunting black people. But that's literally all we're going to hear for 48 hours. How about this? I needed 3 more minutes in that segment, damn it. This but the white people that were shot were not intended to be shot. This dude had a manifesto and 180 pages worth. Yeah. Yeah. And that was another thing I was going to get into of us chasing red herrings all the time. I saw a big thread on Twitter over the weekend about how when Michael Brown was arrested back in 2016, he was an 18-year-old man. When this kid was arrested, he's an 18-year-old kid. Why is the white guy labeled a kid, but the black guy labeled a man? It's to portray black people as more menacing. Yes. Yes. And the hard part about this is walking that line of responsibly reporting on it and fomenting rage. Because when you foment rage, what you're going to get are retaliatory attacks. And those retaliatory attacks are going to spawn more retaliatory attacks. Right. KC says word is Senator Bodie White plans to bring back Senate Bill 189 this week. Oh, God, I hope that's not right, dude. I hope that's not right. Everybody just says supply chain issues and then shrugs and moves on. We're so deep in the weeds on what supply chain is at this point. Yeah. I mean, yeah. Do we have a... Whoa. Wow. He's shouting. Colton says... Off topic, but there's something going on I-12. I've seen 5 to 6 cars with flats between Livingston and Denham. Well, cars don't normally wear heels, Colton. Sorry, had to. I'll let Taylor know. So bad. I'm so overdue for a haircut. I might. We might have fun with that again. Yeah. Whoa, there's no break here. No, you go right to weather and then in. Just after this promo, stop it. .707 Talk 107.3 FM WBRP. Mornings with Brian Haldane rolls right along right now. Brian here with you. Cade Wazan producing. Thanks again to Richard Condon for stepping on board for the last hour. If you missed any of the 6 o'clock hour of Talk 107.3 FM, it'll be available on demand at talk1073.com once the show is over with. Got a busy hour lined up for you this hour. Stroke Awareness Month is continuing right now. Dr. Joseph Costa from Our Lady of the Lake will join us in our next segment for Medical Monday to talk about it. Also this hour, Stephen Waguespack, president of the Louisiana Association of Business and Industry, going to join us to talk about a number of things going on within the legislative session and how we're looking as we get prepared for the home stretch of that session. One of the items that we're going to cover with Stephen Waguespack, we're going to talk about in our top stories and trending, which is coming your way right now. One of the items we'll be talking with Stephen Waguespack about. Yesterday, the Senate Committee on Finance approved a spending plan that includes $300 million to be used for a new bridge in Baton Rouge. According to the Advocate, also within that spending plan, teachers are slated to get a $1,500 pay raise, which, by the way, is about $500 less than the governor asked for, but $1,500 more than what they're currently getting. Sounds like a win. Anyway, budget still needs to make its way back to the House side before being approved and sent to the governor's desk. Where we will find out if the changes that have been enacted by the Senate and approved by the House will be signed off on. Emergency responders are investigating a crash involving a school bus and at least one other vehicle from this morning. The crash was reported around 6:30 a.m. on Greenwell Springs Road near Magnolia Bridge Road. Unclear whether any children were aboard the bus at the time. No word on injuries at this time. The roadway, as Taylor Sharp reported earlier, is currently shut down at the scene of the crash. A judge denied an accused killer's attempt to temporarily get out of jail to attend his brother's funeral over the weekend. Our news partners at WBRZ first reported on this Thursday on the request from Demetrian Grimm, who's currently jailed for allegedly killing two people outside of the Mall of Louisiana back in February. EBR District Attorney Hiller Moore said Friday his office filed an objection to Grimm's request, citing the seriousness of his charges and the wanton and reckless disregard for the public exhibited in those killings. Grimm's brother, Jamorius Ferguson died May 5th from injuries suffered in a drive-by shooting back in October, police said in a news release yesterday. Ferguson shared a house with his brother on Lockhaven Avenue, which is just a few blocks from my house. He was shot by a passing vehicle outside of his home. By the way, side note, there was another news story that somebody who was not supposed to be at the funeral showed up at the funeral and showed up at the funeral packing, but was escorted out. Deputies have identified the suspect in Saturday's fatal shooting in an hours-long standoff off West Chalfont Street. East Baton Rouge Parish Sheriff's Office said 34-year-old Henry Williams III shot his neighbor, 26-year-old Robert LaDuff, after a verbal and physical altercation outside the home. Deputies said LaDuff arrived at his home around 5 p.m., casually greeted his neighbors, then something led up to a verbal argument and physical fight with Williams. During the fight, Williams eventually pulled a gun, shot the unarmed LaDuff several times, according to the sheriff's office. Williams then barricaded himself inside his home, armed with a rifle. Upon arrivals, authorities established a perimeter as they would. Williams allegedly shot at deputies and SWAT from inside the home. Williams was taken into custody after being injured in an exchange of gunfire with authorities, booked in the East Baton Rouge Parish Prison on charges of illegal use of a weapon, second-degree murder, simple battery, and illegal use of a weapon. His bond, get ready for it, $1.78 million. Yes. I know you don't want to hear of any kind of small victory coming out of a deadly shooting, but a significant bond, that's a step. A man was arrested for attempted murder Saturday after initiating a vehicle chase and shooting at the other driver from West Lakeshore to I-110 north. That chase happened all the way back in 2020. BRPD said Marquise Lamarian Square, 27 years old, was arrested Saturday, over 2 years after the chase that happened on May 5th of 2020. Back in 2020, Square allegedly started shooting at someone's SUV as they were driving away from him in the 4,000 block of West Lakeshore, according to police. He then got into his vehicle, chased the victim for over 4 miles, shooting at the vehicle until the victim got away at the Chippewa exit. The victim told police he couldn't count how many times he was shot at, but his vehicle was struck by gunfire 5 to 6 times. Police say Square's criminal history confirms he's a convicted felon following a simple robbery charge that was back in August of 2015. Square was booked into the East Baton Rouge Parish Prison on Saturday on charges of attempted first-degree murder, aggravated criminal damage to property, and felon in possession of a firearm. Those are your top stories. Here is a look at what's trending this morning. Can we get a little bit lighter? Can we get a little bit of good news out of the weekend? How about the Soul Food Festival? 5th Annual Soul Food Festival. Remarkable success over the weekend. Hot out on Saturday, but according to our news partners at WBRZ, nothing was sizzling as much as the dishes being served at the 5th Annual Baton Rouge Soul Food Festival. The festival is of course the tasting of soul food, listening to music out in downtown Baton Rouge, but it's also a cooking competition. Highlighted regional favorites from Louisiana, Texas, Mississippi, Alabama, Georgia, and Florida. It was rocking all day Saturday, then they picked it back up again Sunday from 11 a.m. to 7 p.m. Those are your top stories in trending. We are due up for a break. When we come back from that break, it is time for Medical Monday. Dr. Acosta from Our Lady of the Lake joins us next. Let me go let Taylor know about this flat tire. All right. So, y'all, if we get back into the whole Buffalo shooting thing, I didn't get into the media coverage of it yet, because I'm going to be guilty of us chasing something shiny because it follows a political agenda. But if you follow basically every story or any story that's out there, the level of importance that should be given to a mass shooting when an evildoer walks in and shoots up a supermarket, that level of importance should be reserved for days where something like that happens. But if you ever turn on CNN, Fox News, any of the major news outlets, every day is breaking news. Every day is the most important thing. Every day, by the way, every day white people are evil. Like, every day is that level of importance, or so we're told. How do you reserve any actual energy for when the real shit hits the fan? If every day we're at that level of alert, you can't always be at DEFCON 1. He should be on the phone. No, just bumper and come back to me. .717 Talk 107.3 FM WBRP mornings with Brian Haldane rolling right along, hoping to connect with Dr. John Acosta. I'm sorry, Dr. Joseph Acosta. Excuse me, I was texting a guy named John. Hoping to connect with Dr. Joseph Acosta here in just a minute. Every day at this time we do Medical Monday. May is Stroke Awareness Month. We'll talk about it hopefully with Dr. Acosta before this segment is out. While we have a moment, let's go back to the Buffalo shooting. I know. I said I didn't want to do this. But there are so many different topics to follow. And all of them, well, I shouldn't say all of them. A lot of them are going to be tangential as you break down what happened there and how to stop it from happening in the future. A lot of them are going to be tangential. And there's two I want to revisit right now. We were talking in the last segment of the 6 o'clock hour about the security guard who fired multiple shots at the suspect, but the suspect was wearing full-on body armor. One of the things that hit my Twitter feed over the weekend was, what happened to the good guy with a gun stopping a bad guy with a gun? Yeah, didn't work out here. The good guy with the gun could not penetrate the body armor of the bad guy with the gun. But did you see what happened in Laguna Woods yesterday? You heard about it in CBS News there at the top of the hour? A man opened fire during a lunch reception at a Southern California church, killing one person and wounding 5 senior citizens before, get this, a pastor hit the gunman in the head with a chair and parishioners hogtied him with electrical cords. So you had a good guy with a chair taking out a bad guy with a gun. The overriding theme here is not about the weapon. It's about the mentality and the mindset. Had the pastor had a gun, who knows? But you're going to hear stories like what happened to the good guy with a gun argument a lot in the coming days about this Buffalo shooter. And nothing in life is 100%. And this evildoer went in prepared. It's not going to be the same scenario the next time. And yeah, there will be a next time. And even though there's going to be a next time, let me take you to topic number 2. How, in the general public, are we supposed to absorb this? How, in the general public, are we supposed to... Hang on. Getting in touch with my contact about the interview we should be doing right now. How, in the general public, are we supposed to process this when the way that it's fed to us is exactly the same way that every other piece of news is fed to us? Every so often, I'll bring this up. Turn on CNN, turn on Fox, turn on any of the major news outlets. Is there a time of day where we aren't being hit with the most urgent breaking news out there? 24/7 news outlets are always telling us, you give us your attention now. Everything is breaking all the time. Everything is hyperbolic all the time. I'm being hyperbolic right now to point out the hyperbole. Everything is always the most important thing. And my concern is, as somebody who consumes news, just like the rest of us do, when you see evil to this level, we can't always be at DEFCON 1. When you see evil to this level, it's served up in the exact same way that argument over lowering taxes is served up. It's served up in the exact same way. Let's break this down. It's served up in the exact same way that Pastor Spell was served up. It's served up in the exact same way that every other news story is delivered to us. It's all breaking. It's all the most important. And from our end, our takeaway is same you-know-what, different day. But it's not the same you-know-what. It is that much more important. And the 24-hour news outlets are just one space for this, just one venue, one messenger. There are many more. There are shows like all the panel shows that come on the midday shows. Cackle fests like The View. If we're always at DEFCON 1, how are we supposed to sift through what's actually important and what's not? By the way, this is actually important. Next up on this. Next up on the Buffalo attack. Getting back to the Associated Press story. This sick, twisted you-know-what broadcasted his killing spree on Twitch. We had a homicide in Baton Rouge that was broadcast on Facebook Live not long ago. How do we avoid turning these random instances into a trend? How do we avoid making this the way it is rather than the one-off? Reading from the story from the Associated Press, as the country reeled from its latest mass shooting, new details emerged about the gunman's past and Saturday's rampage, with the shooter broadcast live on Twitch. New York Governor Kathy Hochul, a Buffalo native, demanded the technology industry take responsibility for its role in propagating hate speech and violence. How? They pulled it down. Hochul said she wants technology companies to tell her whether they've done, quote, everything humanly possible to make sure they are monitoring violent content as soon as it appears. You realize how impossible that is? To have millions of feeds going all at once. Millions of live feeds going all at once. To be able to monitor that. How? It happens very, very quickly. Make sure they're monitoring violent content as soon as it appears. Quote, if not, then I'm going to hold you responsible, she said. Twitch said in a statement that it ended Gendron's transmission, quote, less than 2 minutes after the violence started. Twitch, by the way, is a platform where gamers feed. So even if you have all of the technology in the world, what you're feeding through Twitch, from a gamer's perspective, is inherently violent to begin with. So Twitch would have the added task of sifting through what is, I don't know the names of the games, Call of Duty versus reality. If you have some kind of triggers within the algorithm that, oh, you hear gunshots, shut it down. Well, if you're Twitch, that's half of what you do to begin with. But putting the onus on Twitch, putting the onus on Facebook, putting the onus on TikTok, if you do that, they're just going to move to a different source. There's going to become a different source. It's going to be a little bit deeper in the web. There's going to be a different source that is going to feed the same echo chambers and outlets of hate that are out there. The answer to this has got to be stemming the hate, not cutting off the outlet. And by the way, every time you cut off the outlet, that hate gets a little bit more entrenched. Not the fault of the people who are cutting off the outlet. It's just a repercussion of it. There's another one that I want to look at here. and I'm going to get to some comments on our YouTube feed. Mornings with Brian Haldane on YouTube. Go ahead and comment if you have any thoughts of the Buffalo shooting from over the weekend. Another one before I move over to comments, and I've got so much more to unpack from this. Another one before I get to the comments is that the way this thing is being reported, there was a separate thread about this over the weekend as well. When involving teenagers, do we look at race differently? And this might be one of those red herrings that we're going to end up chasing here. But somebody on Twitter over the weekend, and I don't want to quote them to dox them or anything, so I'll leave their handle out of it. But somebody on Twitter over the weekend noted two different stories by the Associated Press. One about what happened Saturday, and one about what happened with Michael Brown back in 2016. And it was stark within there that Michael Brown, 2016, was a black man of 18 years old. What happened over the weekend was a white teenager of 18 years old. Now, both are technically accurate, right? And I don't know how, should the Associated Press come out for standards for what you call someone at a certain age? An 18-year-old's a man, no doubt about it. But an 18-year-old's also a teenager, no doubt about it. But teenager, doesn't that leave the implication of kid, not responsible adult? You say man, cut and dry, it's man. You say teenager, maybe your perception's a little bit differently. Now, no one is going to accuse the Associated Press of having right-leaning tendencies. But is there something to be dissected from that? That if we are going to dissect that is one of those things that is going to be one of those paths we chase down that has nothing to do with the central topic. And that is getting to the root of the evil that caused this. No matter where you move their Twitch stream to or their Facebook Live to, no matter where you move it to, it's evil that causes it. Just like the drug trade, you have to cut off demand more than shift supply. Getting to the root of what causes the evil is where we're at here. All right, a couple of comments. Debbie hits home very, very quickly on YouTube. I'm more surprised the FBI was aware and did nothing. Maybe. Backstory there, this 18-year-old man, was on the FBI's radar last year. He was investigated last year for having these tendencies. Now, how do you address that without going full-on Minority Report? You can't convict somebody of something they haven't done yet because you believe in their tendencies. But nonetheless, this guy was already on somebody's radar. It's a darn good question. Talking about the media attention on this one, Tiffany says, if everything is special, then nothing is special. Or then you have the sensationalized, the next thing even more so for us to pay attention. I completely agree with Tiffany there as well. Is that if everything is the most important thing, then nothing is important. It's all on the same level playing field. And if everything is breaking, urgent, then where are we at here? By the way, stepping away from the streaming of it, there were screenshots from that stream as portions of the Twitch video circulating online showed the gunman firing volley after volley of shots in less than a minute as he raced through the parking lot, and then the store, pausing for just a moment to reload. At one point, he trains a weapon on a white person cowering behind a checkout counter but says, sorry, and doesn't shoot. Screenshots purporting to be from the broadcast appear to show a racial epithet scrawled on his rifle, as well as the number 14, which somehow the number 14 became a white supremacist slogan. That's another one we're going to have to break down at another time. This dude also posted a manifesto online outlining a racist ideology rooted in the belief that the United States should belong only to white people. All others, the document said, were replacers who should be eliminated by force or terror. That's the evil we have to get back to, instead of chasing every other thing under the sun. I don't know how to do it. I'm not going to sit here doing morning radio in Baton Rouge and pretend to have the answers. I will toss the question out there. We'll take your answers throughout the morning on our YouTube live stream. It's Mornings with Brian Haldane on YouTube. Check it out there. All right. We might be able to reconnect with Dr. Acosta and talk stroke awareness later on in the week. Right now, though, we're just straight up out of time. So let's go ahead and get you to CBS News here at the bottom of the hour. We'll check our own local news, traffic, and weather after that. When we come back, we're getting close to that home stretch for the legislative session. What's the latest? Stephen Waguespack from LABI joins us next. I prepared that. Cade had one earlier, y'all. I don't know if his mic was on to share with the rest of the class, but somewhere in this dude's manifesto, he also talked about time travel. At what point do you start to mix crazy into the mix? Not just evil. Evil plus crazy equals what? And I'm still of the belief that when you get all the way into this this man's psyche. See, I did it myself. I just did it. I'm friggin' guilty like everybody else. Exactly. It's just I have a hard time believing an 18-year-old is a grown-ass man, white or black. Like, I would lean towards kid
Talk
for all,
Baton Rouge
not the other way around.
The Senate Finance Committee has approved
you
the
are
proposed
technically a
budget for next
grown-ass
fiscal
man.
year
When I was
that does
18, I
not
felt like a
match
man.
Governor John Bell Edwards' wish list.
Anyway.
Edwards had asked the Senate to give teachers a $2,000 pay raise. But House Appropriations Committee Chairman Jerome Zerang, the man who authored the budget bill, says a $1,500 raise is more appropriate.
It's $148 million in additional funding in DOE for pay raises for teachers, or $1,500 per teacher, and support staff $750.
We've seen time and time again, although oftentimes those people end up turning the gun on themselves.
$500 million
We've seen time and time again where you're going to find antipsychotics in the mix.
The Senate approved $300
I know.
million.
Total speculation right now. Irresponsible reporting on my part because I didn't report it.
The state's longest-serving state fire marshal hands over the baton to Daniel Wallace, his former
also, you cannot force an adult into a mental health facility even knowing they may be in danger.
It's a bittersweet day. It's exciting for the state fire marshal's office to
and do you want to live in a world where you could?
Chapter of this book.
Boy, it's so difficult. I don't want to live in a world where you could say, Cade
Browning moves on to the position of executive director of the
National
Association.
And then you start spreading that around, and then eventually you're able to,
we're getting back to something like a pre-COVID lifestyle, Governor Edwards says there has been a slight bump in daily case counts.
Honestly,
on Friday,
yes, let's all start gaslighting everybody until everybody's behind bars. Now, honestly, if y'all want to gaslight me, freaking have at it. I can use the rep.
10%. Just about 6 weeks ago was 0.7%.
He says it still pays to get yourself vaccinated, and if you've been vaccinated, stay up to date on your booster shots. Baton Rouge firemen investigating a vacant house fire around 4 o'clock Sunday morning in the 1700 block of North Acadian, not far from Gus Young.
Thanks, Joe Byron.
The fire was ruled an arson, likely because
the Buffalo
there was no
tragedy gives us an opportunity to show compassion to each other, like after 9/11,
hey, and did you
rather than
that lunar
associate
eclipse
purely
last
by
night?
race.
Neither did I. Overcast skies last night gave way to late-night rain
and this is going to bring up another
Today we
point,
should
Troy.
See isolated showers with a high around
I don't
91.
need other white
From
people
the
telling
Radio
me I'm
Network
racist.
Newsroom, Kevin Gallagher for Talk
Right
107.3.
Can we all stop with that? Can we all stop with the anybody uses the OK sign, they're automatically racist? Yeah, right? Can we all stop with all these what are they the minor triggers? What is that called? Microaggressions. Can we all stop with microaggressions and having to jump through all those hoops? Evil is clear and needs no explanation. I honestly can't watch any national TV news for the very reason discussed. I stopped years ago. Me too. I mean, as of Friday, I thought Rick Sanchez was still on CNN. God, I miss Rick Sanchez. Yeah. You would have, yeah, your heart would just explode. You don't drink Red Bull and take pre-workout. Pre-workout is stronger than Red Bull. With Redline Rush? Love me a Redline Rush, man. Yeah. Yes. Newsfeed was on yeah. That's Wags. I got him. Studio. Good morning, Steven. I'm good. How are you? What are we talking about today? Is $300 million enough to get started on a bridge? Okay. All right. Well, so the governor wanted $500 million, and we get $300 million. $300 million is 60% of $500 million. If I get a 60 on a test, that's the lowest D possible. Also, a D is passing. All right. Well, yeah, we'll talk ESAs as well. Cool. Excellent. Hang tight. Coming your way. Thanks. Tiffany, I need more explanation here on this. Listening to the word replacers manifesto, it makes a good argument for critical race theory. Clearly, the white people replaced other people all over the world. I don't know what the end game is for that, though. A very small number of white people. Hang on, we got to get 7:38. Talk 107.3 FM, WBRP, mornings with Brian Haldane, rolling right along. Time for us to get dialed in on the legislative session, getting ready for the home stretch of the legislative session. Joining us now, Stephen Waguespack, president of the Louisiana Association of Business and Industry. Stephen, good morning. How are you, sir?
Well, Brian, I'm okay, but, I think it's no coincidence there was a red moon last night when Ole Miss comes in here and the first time in the history of the series sweeps our Tigers here at LSU. They brought their red moon with them. So that was a dark day for LSU baseball this weekend. Hopefully it's the wake-up call this team needs for the home stretch.
I would hope so. I've not to start off totally pessimistic, Stephen, but the emotional investment's gone. I'll cheer for home runs, and after that, it's just like let's look forward to next year. Although they're not out of it. They're not. That's the crazy part. They're not out of it by any stretch of the imagination. There will likely be postseason baseball in the box.
That's true. And I still think we're learning to see what a Jay Johnson team, what the makeup is. Mm-hmm. And, are they a get-out-fast team? Are they, they rally at tournament time or whatever? So we haven't even gone through those, full ups and downs of the season. And let's be honest, right now, this is a team that he inherited that, was under 500 in SEC play last year. He had to piece together a pitching staff, using transfer portal and recruits over the season. So, this is a cobbled together Jenga puzzle of a team, but you look out there and you see big hitters all up and down the lineup. It does seem like you should be able to, compete more. But look, there's still some season left. Mm-hmm. We've seen a lot of magical runs come out of that stadium over the years, and we'll see what Jay Johnson has up his sleeve for the last part of the season.
Okay, so this is the part that I hate, though, because as a lifelong C student, whenever you'd bring home an A and you'd expect your parents to praise you, but they just turned around and say, see what you're capable of? That's the thing with LSU's pitching this year. You're a C student who brings home an A, and it's like you're just showing your potential.
Yeah, but we know what Malik Hilliard is. That is a great kid who has battled for this program. Yeah. But we're forced to roll him out as our Friday night closer start, and that's not fair to him. That tells you where the state of the pitching is of the program right now. Yeah. And so they got to do some recruiting, bring some other horses in, and he's got to. We're not known to have a lot of patience, but I think he deserves a year or two to kind of put that roster together and then see what he can do with the full arsenal. But, I'm still going to pay attention and be hopeful. But, man, it was a sobering reality check this weekend.
Yes, it was. Speaking of sobering reality checks, we're at the home stretch for the legislative session as well. What is hot right now?
Man, I feel like you should have let off with that hokey 80s Europe hit Final Countdown coming in because we are definitely in that. It's going to be in your head all day now.
Yep, thank you much.
Yeah, this is interesting with the new legislature. Back in the day, for as long as I can remember, the way a session worked was you held the budget and capital outlay until the last 48 hours of the session, and that's where you used all your leverage of your leadership and the administration to get everything you want done. Well, in the new term limit era, where the legislature has shown they want to be more independent, there's a new model being put forward this session, and basically their goal is the House and the Senate to get on the same page, get a bill signed by send it upstairs, by the end of the week, so that the governor has to act on it while they're in session, so that if he does any line item vetoes, they can go in and override it during session. This is a new model, and it's going to change the way the Capitol's played. And so yesterday, the Senate passed out their version of the budget at a Senate Finance Committee. It's expected to go to the House floor in the next 2 days, and they expect minimal changes on the Senate floor. So what will happen is the House should pretty soon concur. It should go up to the governor's desk by the end of the week on Friday at the latest. Next thing you know, the watch begins for him to decide what to do. He can sign it, he can veto it, or he can sign it with a bunch of line item vetoes to X out some projects. The legislature will be sitting there waiting until June 6th to override them. So this is a new model. The cool thing about it is that from a timing perspective, let's say they send it upstairs and he's like, you know what, I'm good with this. And he just signs it. I mean, they could adjourn early this year, which we never see in the Capitol. So this is kind of uncharted waters to a certain extent of how they're playing the end game.
If the governor decides to line item veto certain things, like, for example, he says he wants $500 million for a new bridge, he's going to get $300 million. Look, I know I'm in, like, Captain Pessimism over here, but if $300 million is 60% of $500 million, 60%, you get a 60 on a test, you've got the lowest D possible, provided you're on a 10-point scale.
Yeah, but the legislature grades on a curve, big guy. You know that. Come on now.
That's true. That is true. But if I'm the governor, do I look at 60% and do I walk away full?
Well, there's really no benefit. I mean, look, I don't know what he's going to do, but there's no benefit to line item veto that project, because if you do, you walk away with nothing. Remember, a line item veto only allows you to erase certain lines. You can't add in. So it's just an eraser.
Right.
And so basically taking that out, just he walks away with nothing. So do I think maybe over the next couple of days the negotiations continue between 300 and 500? Sure, I bet they do. But if 300 ends up being the end number, I sincerely doubt that is subject to a line item veto, because, while 300 is 60% of 500, 0 is 0%, just like Mr. Blucharkey's grade point average in Animal House. So he's not going to want that. And let me tell you about the $300 million. Look, I wanted 500 too, to be honest with you, Brian. They're going to need that. But 300 is a solid down payment if that's where it ends up with. And they're talking about it really zeroing those dollars in, some of the connector pieces, specifically LA 30 on this side of the river. Look, if you're putting major investments on expanding LA 30 in the thoughts that that's going to be a big connector piece, but that's also something that folks now could benefit from traffic relief, whether you're on a game day or not, that's still a big game changer. So while it's not the 500 you and I both wanted, 300 is not bad, and it gives Sean Wilson and the team at DOTD plenty of ammo to go to the federal government with later this fall and try to get another 150, maybe 200 from a grant perspective. And so slowly but surely it'll start piecing together.
Okay, so that is the real question there. Is $300 million enough? Because the other questions are all, it's like a dog chasing a car. What are you going to do if you actually catch it? The other questions are, from a legislative perspective, you couldn't sign off on 500, but you could sign off on 300. Like, how is that palatable? If your answer to 500 million was you don't have an exact location, 300 million, oh, we're cool with 10 spots. I don't get I'm lost in translation there.
Yeah, I hear you, man. And look, you're right to be skeptical, but what they're saying is, look, it's not just 300 million, but also it was a commitment by the administration's DOTD to zero those dollars in the kind of what I'll call the ready-made projects. That's the LA 30 piece.
Yeah.
And so they said, look, instead of throwing in a bank account that we're going to look at, draw dust over the next year or two, we want you to take that and start building the connectors. And so that's what they think they can put shovels in the ground sooner rather than later. So that's what they were looking for. Time will tell what is the best strategy, but that's kind of what they were doing. And also, there were a lot of, I think the biggest challenge was there was a lot of competing puzzle pieces here. I mean, like Charles Bridge, 49 South, rural roads and rural off-system bridges across the state needing, issue and repair. So there's a lot of competing interest here. And I think that was another factor going on as well. But look, 300 is still good. And look, the silver lining for all this transportation money, whether it's the 200 in Lake Charles, the 200 for 49 South, the 300 here for Baton Rouge Bridge, and the other dollars going in, every dollar going in the roads and bridges, you can turn into jobs and investment. And every dollar going in the roads and bridges, you're not creating a recurring budget hole that you're going to trip over a couple of years down the line when that sales tax comes up for renewal, when these vehicle sales tax dollars start getting dedicated to roads. And so I think it's a smart play to avoid the fiscal trap. So
we could stay on transportation for the rest of the morning and not get all the way, if you'll pardon the pun, down the road. But I got to move over to the education end of the budget as well. One compromise that I think the governor probably should be happy about is he's asking for $2,000 a year for teachers. He's going to get $1,500. That sounds like it would be something that would be, oh, hey, look what I got.
I think that's a solid investment. I really do. And I think the legislature's right. The two things they're saying is, one, if you go up too high, what you're going to do is you're going to create a recurring cost that we're not sure the dollars are going to be there down the road. Let's be honest. The economy we have right now where, surpluses in the capital and there's budget excess everywhere, don't mistake that for things are going well economically. No one believes that. It's just right now you're still sorting through the major investment on the core, the COVID relief package and all that stuff. And so that's what we're dealing with. So everyone knows this is a false surplus economy we're living in. A couple of years from now, it's not going to be there. So I think limiting the recurring expenses like a pay raise that gets too high is absolutely the right thing to do. And it is going to chip away closer to that Southern average as well. So I think that $1,500 should be plenty for everyone.
And the Southern Regional average only takes into account salary, not cost of living. We make up a lot of ground. The Southern Regional average, we always look bad.
Exactly right.
But we make up ground on those middle lines of the budget. Got about 2 minutes left with Stephen Waguespack.
And look, one other thing, we have one of the more generous pension systems for our state workers and our teachers right there. Mm-hmm. There's been efforts to reform it over the years to make it more fiscally sustainable. The teacher unions have absolutely opposed any effort to do that. At some point, that has to be part of the equation also. When we get to pay increases, there also has to be pension reform that comes with it, because if not, you're going to have some of the shortages really come back and bite taxpayers on the rear end down the road if we don't fix that going forward.
Got about a minute, 100%. Got about a minute and a half left with Stephen Waguespack, president of Louisiana Association of Business and Industry. I got to ask you about that surplus economy, though. At a certain point, based off the amount of our budget that is based off of oil and gas revenue and the amount of our budget that's based off sales taxes, with inflation where it is right now and the constantly teetering on the brink that we're seeing from the Biden administration on down in the oil and gas space, is the Revenue Estimating Conference just playing blindfolded darts at this point?
No, I mean, look, they're supposed to look at what the intake looks like, and then they're supposed to throw cautionary tales as they look forward down the road, and that's what they're doing. I mean, they're saying, look, here's the dollars we're seeing, but don't get used to it. To me, the biggest thing right now is look at your 401k. Look at some of your investments in the market and watch what that's been doing up and down. The market is about as schizophrenic as schizophrenia gets lately because they don't know what to do with this either. But if you look at the intangibles of the economy, the challenge to get workers, the inflation going up, supply chains being broken. Have you driven by a car lot lately? Have you tried to renovate a house lately and get a stove or a refrigerator or a piece of tile or a piece of lumber? We have major intangible problems with the economy right now. But in the Capitol, there's money bags everywhere. And so I think the legislature has actually shown pretty good restraint, realizing that this is a mirage we're living in right now, that the reality check's coming. And considering that election year is next year, usually we have to fight a lot harder for them to kind of take a realistic approach. They've actually done a good job seeing it for what it is thus far.
He is Stephen Waguespack, president of LABI. I appreciate the visit as always, sir.
All right, big guy. Have a great week.
You too. Here comes your money now. That was awesome. Good morning, Franz. How are you, sir?
Good morning. I'm Franz.
Franz Alondra. Alondra Franz.
Alondra?
Yes.
Spell that for me. Cool name. Says the guy with the name Franz.
Good trip?
Boulder was magnificent.
What's in Boulder?
Boulder is the university. Yes, university. There's a law school there, and I went to a training for 2.5 days. Oh. But I don't know if you've realized this or not. This year, the last 2 months, I've hit some really awesome Western cities.
You have?
Sedona, Santa Fe, Boulder. What's next on the list?
I don't know, but I'm sure it'll happen the same weekend as the next Axe Retreat.
When's the next Axe Retreat?
I'll let you know as soon as we know.
I want to go to the Axe Retreat, and I want to go to Manresa. I'm ready.
Manresa's invite only.
I'm working on Manresa.
I've never been to Manresa.
Well, you just need to get your Catholic game up a little bit.
I know.
So, yeah, Boulder was beautiful. Good food, good weather, high altitude. My running was not pretty.
What kind of food did you eat?
I ate some hot Nashville chicken in Boulder. I ate some Spanish tapas. I had not one but 2 different Mexican restaurants with red and green chilies.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Yeah.
New Zealand. Do what? Well, it's not going to be till 8:15. Yes, we got the outside in here. Then you've got this day in history. All right.
How do you feel about this decision?
I still don't know. And I don't know, just like we both said during the whole thing, I don't know that our opinion should, because you can't take something that applies to everybody and take it personally.
You know, there's a phrase, I'm doing the best I can. And I've said it before, it's kind of...
Yes.
Anyways.
No, I agree with you. I don't know how to process it because from a strict rights standpoint, if anything at all can be open.
Do you believe that he was singled out, or do you believe that he singled himself
I
out?
believe he singled himself out.
Right. Lucky Law Firm. I wish I had a cool last name like that. Lucky. Get lucky.
Borgie?
Get lucky. I got court today.
You what?
I got court today.
For what?
Baton Rouge City Court.
Your voice really let down on the back end of that.
I know. I got Baton Rouge
Boring
City Court.
ass.
I was supposed to have federal Zoom. That got canceled. I've got Court TV. I get to talk about Amber and Johnny.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah.
All the poop? No.
Unless it was like an involuntary accidental poop. If it was an involuntary accidental poop.
What, like train spotting?
Yeah.
Oh. Always appropriate. Cade Wazan bringing us back in with the same final countdown that Stephen Waguespack stuck in my head in the last segment. So now it is sure to be embedded there for the rest of the day. Hopefully I'm sharing it. Enjoy. Thank you, Cade. Not nearly done with the show yet. We got a lot more ground to cover here. Next hour, attorney Franz Borghardt will be in for a bonus legally served. Why? Last Friday, State Supreme Court decided that Tony Spell, the good pastor from Central, was completely in the right when it comes to holding services through. We'll get there. It's a tease. When it comes to holding services throughout COVID, when the rest of the world shut down, Pastor Spell said, "Nuh-uh, he cool now." That's coming your way next hour. Same with also next hour, Marlee Pittman from the mayor's office going to be heading up the Office of Community Reinvestment. That's coming your way next hour as well. Right now, though, we step outside of East Baton Rouge Parish every day at this time for a segment we call The Outside In. We are going to start off in Red River Parish. 3 juveniles escaped from a detention center early Saturday morning with the help of a security guard. They were on the run for most of the day, captured by Sunday. According to the Red River Parish Sheriff's Office, surveillance video from the Ware Youth Center shows the guard, 21-year-old Victoria Toon, loading up 3 juveniles in a white sedan, leaving the facility around 3 o'clock in the morning. Deputy said 17-year-old Taiwan Lafitte of Caddo Parish, 17-year-old Jeremiah Durham of Bossier Parish, and 15-year-old Navaria Lane of DeSoto Parish were found in the Houston area in a hotel along with the security guard. Down in New Orleans, Xavier University will be one of the first 6 HBCUs to land an IBM cybersecurity center. Right here in Baton Rouge, the Southern University System's getting one as well. These centers will give students, staff, and faculty access to modern technology, resources, and skill development. This, according to Dr. Nakunja Swain, chair and professor of the Computer Science and Mathematics Department at South Carolina State over in Orangeburg. South Carolina State's getting one as well. This will further enhance ongoing activities in several key areas, including cybersecurity, data science analytics, cloud computing, IoT, blockchain, design thinking, and more. IBM says more than 20 HBCUs are going to end up with these centers when they're all said and done. Next stop, Lafourche Parish. A man was shot overnight while trying to find a stolen ATV in Thibodaux. The Lafourche Parish Sheriff's Office said shortly after 3:15 a.m. Sunday, they received a call reporting a stolen ATV from a residence on Lee Drive. The owner of the ATV and a family reportedly began driving around to locate that vehicle. When they found the stolen ATV at the intersection of Robert Street and Park Drive, they noticed a man hiding behind a tree. While trying to approach the man, he pulled a gun and began shooting at them, according to the Sheriff's Office. One of the men was shot in the shoulder while running back to their vehicle. Deputies said the victim was transported to the University Medical Center in New Orleans for treatment. His injuries believed to be non-life-threatening. Closing out in St. Landry Parish. A concerned Opelousas parent is speaking out after discovering their son cannot participate in graduation festivities or walk across the stage. 18-year-old Gavin Thompson of Magnet Academy for Cultural Arts might not to get this lifelong dream to come to a reality. Thompson's father explains the school said Gavin had skipped a class and missed graduation practice, which made him ineligible to walk. Practice. We talk about what are we talking about, man? We talking about practice? Not the game. Not the game. Practice. Any chance to reference Allen Iverson, and I'm doing it. That was the Outside In. Here comes CBS News. You walked in with a gun and got beat by a chair. Dana. Dana's going to take him out? The Holy Spirit takes on many forms. In this case, it was a chair. By the way, I've got a completely inside baseball reference that's going to make you laugh and probably nobody else. Oh, United States of Barbecue finale. Where's Jada Cody? Oh.
Tiffany asks, what's the likelihood Amber Heard gets charged with perjury? Unlikely.
Will that still be around on Wednesday?
Do we call her a B-list actress?
Not until she's been on my show. Eric Roberts, you know, Tony Orlando.
Do you have any A-list actors on the show?
I don't know.
We need to get an A-list actor on the show.
Harry Connick Jr.
He's not A-list.
Really?
No.
Not even on a local curve.
No.
B plus.
Do not mistake though what I'm saying. Harry Connick Jr.
It's a big
I celebrated his entire music catalog. I think he's a great dude.
Yep.
Great for the city of New Orleans.
Yes.
He's been in a few movies.
Independence Day.
He was.
Yeah. Yeah. That piece of shit with the dolphin. I think it was called the dolphin tail. About the dolphin that didn't have a tail, so they gave it a prosthetic. Harry Connick Jr. What's the one about the the bombing of Pearl Harbor? Memphis Belle? Was that the bombing of Pearl Harbor? Was Memphis Belle?
Haggai. Haggai's watching.
Oh! Haggai, I need details, man. You doing good? Obviously good enough to watch us on YouTube. Yeah, he had a leg amputated. No, not really. He had his leg trained. I just wanted to see. I wanted to see how big your eyes could get.
Yeah, pretty big.
It's like a South Park character. Boy, there's a lot of nothing for this day in history. Okay.
I need you to get Bruce Campbell on this show. He is a B-list actor.
Okay.
But if you got Bruce Campbell, like Army of Darkness Bruce Campbell, all the Sam Raimi cameo Bruce Campbell.
Okay. I'll work on that. No, I've got Alondra, there's a running bit that I have, like, just the B and C list celebrity cavalcade. I mean, just the most random names you could possibly think of. I'm part of this service that when they have something new coming out. Wait, the RZA. RZA's been on twice. RZA's damn near a friend.
First name basis.
Mm-hmm. They're always fun. Oftentimes doing a film in New Orleans or Baton Rouge or whatever. But I get more run out of that than I do the real stuff that I do. How about Rob Belushi? Jim Belushi's son. Who did I have on last week? The guy that was one of the judges on Pitch Perfect. Now he's got the game show. See, if I don't remember their name. Yes, remember the movie Pitch Perfect? You know who I'm talking about? He was in all the Christopher Guest films. The cool thing was, I hate that I'm like brain farting on his name right now. He remembered the last time he was on with me. Yes. .806 Talk 107.3 FM WBRP, Hour 3 in Mornings with Brian Haldane coming your way right now. Brian here with you, Cade Wazan producing. If your week ain't off to a great start already, get ready because we're about to crank it up a few notches here. Hey, we got a busy hour for you this hour. We've got a bonus Legally Served with attorney Franz Borghardt. Normally, Legally Served starts at 6:25 on a Wednesday morning, and Franz and I chop it up, breaking down how the headlines come into play from a legal perspective. Well, last Friday, the Louisiana Supreme Court deemed that Pastor Tony Spell didn't do anything wrong. So what does that mean for the rest of us? As Franz kind of pukes in his throat. What does that mean for the rest of us? We'll talk about it in our next segment. Also this hour, Marlee Pittman from the mayor's new Office of Community Reinvestment or some such is going to join us at 8:40. This is a new post, a new division, if you will. I want to talk with Marlee about what exactly that means. What are the expected outcomes? Is there some level of metric where we can grade her success as she takes on this new role? Marlee joins us at 8:30. Right now, though, we start off the third hour of the show with This Day in History. Kate? Yeah.
All right, Brian, this day in history, we'll start first back in the day, 1868. You remember that year?
Boy, do I.
Good wine.
Yeah.
Senate acquits President Andrew Johnson of high crimes and misdemeanors.
Very nice.
This day in history, speaking of law. So
right? Got a nice acquittal in 1868.
I guess the other option was a stay, right?
Yes.
Yeah, it's a legal term. Yeah. May 16th, 1929, the Academy of Motion Picture Arts and Sciences hands out its first awards at a dinner party, Hollywood, California, at the Roosevelt Hotel.
Wait, are you going chronologically?
Yes.
So you've already passed up 1866?
You would be correct.
Yeah, on this day in 1866, the U.S. Congress passed legislation that called for the creation of a 5-cent piece.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah.
At this day in 1866, the nickel came to fruition. Nice. Not every day.
Nice.
Not every day.
I don't know how I missed that. But the first Academy Awards, and they weren't honoring speaking, or they called talkies at that time.
Yeah.
So can you imagine the slap had it happened with just the text and the Charlie Chaplin music behind it?
Oh my goodness, no, I could not.
It would have been. I think it would have been
interesting comparison between those Academy Awards and the most recent Academy Awards.
Yeah.
I didn't see any of them either.
Fair enough. 1980, basketball great Magic Johnson plays center as a rookie, wins a championship. No big deal.
Oh. Wait, Magic played center as a rookie?
Yeah.
Where the hell was Kareem? Kareem got there before him.
I don't know.
Oh, man.
All I know about the 80s and the Lakers was Fletch, so.
Yeah.
That's 1985, discovery of the ozone hole was announced.
The ozone hole?
Yeah.
Okay.
I think they blamed it on that Aquanet.
They did. It was all the spray cans. When you used to get the big copper-colored Right Guard can.
Yeah.
Remember when Right Guard came in that big old can? Remember Right Guard? Is that even still a thing? Or do we just all use the green now? Yeah.
Yeah.
Chlorofluorocarbons, they call them.
There you go. Look at that.
Hey, this day in 1770, Marie Antoinette married King Louis XVI.
Did she now?
Oh, yeah.
Chlorophyll. More like
no.
chlorophyll. 2014, pioneering TV journalist Barbara Walters signs off for the final show.
Aw, that's a darn shame.
That's right. Birthdays, Megan Fox is 35. Janet Jackson's 55. Pierce Brosnan, one of the Bond, is 68. Danny Trejo, 77 for Danny Trejo.
Danny Trejo. That's a guy. Yeah, see, he's the...
Comeback story.
He's a regular in Baton Rouge. What? Hey, Danny Trejo would be A-list.
He would certainly be A-list.
Yeah.
So he's coming up next on Brian's show.
That guy loves him some Baton Rouge, though. He's been around a couple times filming things. Yeah.
Fair enough.
Yeah.
Tucker Carlson is 52. Chris Novoselic, of course, Nirvana, 56. Tori Spelling is 49. And I thought I had one more birthday.
Oh, I got a bunch.
That's all I've got.
Liberace.
Yeah?
How about Liberace?
Cool.
Henry Fonda's birthday's today.
How about that?
Yeah, former Hall of Fame Detroit Tigers pitcher Jack Morris. Let's see, Thurman Thomas, Hall of Fame Bills running back.
Yes.
John Sally was born on this day in 1964, known from the Pistons and Bad Boys. Remember John Sally was in Bad Boys?
Yeah.
He was the computer nerd with the Coke bottle glasses? Yeah. And born on this day in 1996, Garner Minshew. And happy birthday to him.
This day, as far as national days go.
Did you have any deaths?
You know what? I was trying to think on the positive today. I guess I did not. Did you?
Michael Slive passed on this day in 2018.
Ew.
And Dick Trickle on this day in 2013.
So national days, National Honor Our LGBT Elders Day is today. Also, I guess more so for a week, this is National American Craft Beer Week. So tune in this afternoon at 4. I think there's going to be a lot of discussion amongst...
It's also National Barbecue Day, so between those two, the Jay Cody show is set.
I think we're full.
Yeah.
With our guys who are experts in that. Bike to Work Week.
Nope. Yep. Not with this humidity.
Get your salmon shorts and ride your bike
to
work.
Congrats.
That's right.
You will be a fountain of sweat.
It is Drawing Day. And let's see. Also, National Mimosa Day, which seems to be like, wouldn't that be a Sunday?
I would feel like that should fall on a Sunday. It shouldn't be.
Yeah,
it shouldn't always be the 16th. It should just be a Sunday. If you're going to have you having mimosas on a Monday, you got issues.
Yeah. Get you a Red Bull and a 5-hour. You're good. All right, and that is all I have for this day in history.
All right, well, we got a break because we got a ton to talk about with attorney Franz Borghardt. Bonus Legally Served coming your way next. Dick Trickle.
Cole Trickle.
Well, that's who he was named after. He was named after that. It was supposed to be Cole. I know. Dick Trickle's the real guy. Dick Trickle killed it.
Lean into a name like that. You gotta lean into a name like that.
By
the way, the Billy Madison reference, I appreciate
that. Oh, so did I.
That movie really has like a good wine has matured with time.
Yes, it has.
The taste is now robust. A full bouquet.
Oh. All right. All right, gotta hop back in the YouTube. I was on 4 different websites during that last segment, so my apologies, YouTube. I'm back. John Michael Higgins, thank you, Anna Payne. Thank you. Yeah, Haggai's regrowing his leg. See? It regenerates.
It's not funny. I give Haggai a lot of poop. But if he really lost his leg, like he'd get a bouquet of flowers. He'd get a plant or something from
Okay, but here's the thing though. He hosts Tech Gumbo. If anybody, we can rebuild him. We have the technology. The $6 million Haggai.
Soundbite for that.
Yeah.
God, that show was so awesome.
Tiffany says if you're told practice is mandatory and if you aren't there, you cannot participate in the big game. You show up. Here's the thing, though. The part that I didn't get into because it was just too heavy for the segment. This poor kid every Tuesday has a mental health class. Like, he's got mental health issues, and he goes to a class every Tuesday. No, but that's where he was. He was in something for his mental health, like, mandatory class, by the way.
What you couldn't tell me.
Yeah. Yeah.
She told me.
That guy's perfect.
I'll call you. I'm at the radio. I'm about to do radio. I'm going to call you back.
Haggai says, Lee Majors and I have the same birthday, so see, it's built in. Oh, you do the Legally Served Open.
I kind of like this. How'd my boy Richard do?
Well, great.
You get Richard on more often.
Yeah. $8:16. Talk 107.3 FM, WBRP. Time for a bonus installment of Legally Served. Time to welcome back attorney Franz Borghardt. Franz, what's happening, man?
You're welcome.
Yeah, no.
You're welcome.
No, look, the news dropped on Friday. I texted you immediately hey, sorry to interrupt your Colorado trip.
I almost got on a plane early so that we could talk about this no-talent butt clown, Pastor Spell.
Okay, wow.
He's not. That was.
I've never been to one of his services. I have no idea how talented he is.
I figured that he talks to God on a regular basis.
Well, and based off of his suits, he's got to be making some kind of bank.
Big Supreme Court, Louisiana Supreme Court decision. Yes. Long story made short, he had been. I'm doing your job.
No, let me do the setup. A Louisiana pastor who was arrested for ignoring restrictions on gatherings in the early days of the coronavirus pandemic will not face punishment after the state's highest court ruled in his favor. The ruling released by Louisiana Supreme Court on Friday said Governor John Bel Edwards' stay-at-home mandate and other restrictive orders were unconstitutionally applied to Tony Spell and his church, Life Tabernacle.
Yeah.
Spell was arrested in 2020 after he ignored warnings from the state to stop holding large services at the church, which violated the order's gathering limit of 50 people.
Simply put, if you have a constitutional challenge in a criminal case, state criminal case, you file a motion to quash, quash with a Q, not squash, not the vegetable.
Right. Right.
And you can have the charges, if the courts agree, charges go away. They get dismissed, and that's what this court has done. Now, will the state DA's office take an appeal of this decision and bring it all the way up, or are they satisfied? I don't know. It's a good question.
It is a good question because this didn't just apply to churches. This applied across the board. So can you take what was deemed First Amendment rights because it was a church and apply it to something else?
You could.
Is the state going to be on the hook for millions of dollars?
No, I don't think so. I don't think so. I think that what you have, and we've said this time and time again, is I think there is a good civil defense of, hey, we were doing the best we could when we did it. Ultimately, I mean, he probably will try to get millions of dollars, pinky out, up. But I don't know that he gets that. And again, that may be the incentive for the DA's office to keep going up higher with it. But, look, at the end of the day, we go back to this place of everybody was doing the best they could.
I know.
The governor was doing the best he could.
Yeah.
I mean, was he isolatedly targeted? Was he singled out? I don't know. I don't think so.
Well, no, so this is going to be a whole other point of contention. Was he singled out or did he single himself out?
I think he singled himself
out. So do
I.
I think he stood up and jumped up and down and waved his hands and made sure we all paid attention.
I've never met Pastor Spell. I've never viewed
Nor
him.
have I. I tried to have him on the show.
I was going to say, I never viewed him on your show either.
Well, it's because Dr. Phil called and I got trumped.
However, I have a 6-year-old and I know what a tantrum looks like. I know what an orchestrated tantrum it looks like, a feigned tantrum. You have got kids. You can tell when someone's faking it.
Yeah.
And that was the impression I got.
Yes.
Not questioning his faith, not questioning his religion, questioning that
1,000%.
He exploited a global pandemic. He exploited it for his own good.
Okay. Now, that being
said, like a seller of mass.
That being said, the Louisiana Supreme Court has ruled that tantrum was in the right.
Right.
So
that his constitutional rights were violated.
Right. Yeah. Now, how do you break that down? Is there any way to dissect what the Supreme Court had to say and show where they were right and where literally everybody else got it wrong?
Well, I don't think it's that simple. And I think, we have a limited amount of time, so to unpack the decision would be problematic. But I'll say this. Remember, the First Amendment, which is not absolute, right? And by the way, if you look at the national, we look at the national scene on the United States Supreme Court and how they decided different cases when it came to the First Amendment, right to free exercise of religion on this topic. Yeah. It wasn't always clear cut, right? Like, I think there was a decision out of New York where they said, yeah, you're violating some rights. But in another place, they were like, no, you're good. So it's about the public health. It's about balancing the public health issue with the exercise of religion, right? Mm-hmm. And, I think in this context, it was about a criminal charge. Because remember, what this case was really about was him being charged with a crime. Why? Because he was having services.
Right. A group of more than 50 people at a time.
Right. So that is separate and apart. The ability to charge a crime is separate and apart for the ability of the governor to do it. And I know that sounds counterintuitive, right? It's about consequences.
Yeah.
The governor can make this executive order, but what the court is saying is you can't charge him with a crime.
Okay, but here's the thing, though. It's an executive order, not an executive suggestion.
Right.
So the rest of the churches decided this is an executive order.
It's kind of the
but does it mean everybody else was voluntary?
So remember, I want to rewind back. Remember when you and I once had the conversation about we felt like we were playing by the rules?
Yes.
And as a result of us playing by the rules, our reward was nothing.
Right.
In fact, it was like, hey, later it was like, hey, these rules weren't really rules. They're more like suggestions.
Right. No, that's exactly right. It becomes an executive order now becomes a suggestion.
Right.
And the precedent moving forward is when the next time something rolls around, the governor is going to be whatless in setting out any kind of executive order at all.
Where I thought he was going to fail on this one was, he has this bundle of constitutional rights. And you know me, I'm a big fan of the Constitution. I love Franz Borghardt loves him some Constitution.
Yeah.
However, the problem with this case is you're talking about a nexus of competing constitutional rights. You and I have a right, and Kate has a right to public health. We have a right to certain safety mechanisms, and what the pastor was doing, I believe, was violating other human rights. I don't say that lightly. I'm not being flippant or hyperbolic when I say that. That's the issue, right? Is him having those services and him gathering all those people together in the same space creates a public health risk. And we're not tagging all the people, all the congregates that leave the service and following them and going all that. I mean, that's crazy, right?
Yes.
It created health issues. Now, that all being said...
Whoa. We also have the benefit of hindsight here. Did it actually create health issues?
I don't know.
Can you look at the congregation of the Life Tabernacle Church and say, here's my numbers, here's my stats. I had like 8 people get COVID and nobody... Actually, I believe 1 person died. Like, if you stack up what happened at Life Tabernacle Church, does the pastor have the benefit of history in his corner to say, we all got together every single week and we were no more worse off than the people who stayed home?
Well, so I believe in reading the article that was sent to me, I believe that the case was remanded to the district court to do essentially a bigger analysis on the constitutional issue. That all being said, the DA's office could say, "Hey, we're done." This was and look, I don't believe this DA's office in Baton Rouge. I don't believe Hiller Moore and the DA's office wants to prosecute this pastor for having
as much. I believe he said as much.
Nobody. Look, we've got real crime, and like nobody wants to spend 1 second more on this pastor, giving him. I mean, I feel bad talking about him.
Right.
I'm giving him more of a pulpit, so to speak.
Yeah.
So I think it's possible the DA's office may say, you know what, we're good. Or the DA's office could be motivated to say, you know what, we could have this situation again, and we need to have better law on this and do something about it. I just don't know. I would not fault the DA's office if the DA's office said, you know, we're good.
No, neither would I.
Yeah.
Because you know what? Because of the pandemic, the district attorney's office is so backlogged on cases of real criminals that he's got work to do, and his entire office has work to do. And as the district attorney, if you were the district attorney, would that just tick you off infernally to say, okay, yeah, I can't continue down this path, but at the same time, my office got shut down too. All of the courts got shut down too, and then we had to Zoom it for a while, and we're all backlogged as a result of it. So there's criminals that are out on bond, probably going to commit more crimes, leading to more victims.
Clarifying myself, it wasn't remanded for greater analysis. That was what the DA's office's position was, is it should have been. So, no, this is definitive. This is a decision that the charges were quashed. Now, look, the DA's office could take it higher. I don't know that they will. That's a lot. It's a lot of expense to take something higher. But this DA's office is very competent, good district attorney. He might, but look, for now, it's done. So your question is does the pastor turn around and sue? Yeah, I mean,
what would he turn around and sue for?
Violation of civil rights.
Oh, okay, but at the end of the day, he did what he wanted to do. How were his civil rights violated?
The issue is the wrongful arrest. But I don't know that he'll have much of a. I mean, what are his damages? What were his damages?
That's where I'm getting to. If you always held your services, if you had 1,000 people out there a weekend, which he purported to have, and I have no reason to doubt him, if you had 1,000 people out there a weekend, then you have no damages. The hat got passed every week regardless.
I might argue that he benefited from the criminal prosecution.
Now, every other church that did shut down does have a claim to damages.
That might be a argument, yeah.
If you're the Healing Place Church and you shut it down, you could say, well wait a minute now, I followed an order.
So therein begs the question. So you and I go to a church that did online.
That did shut down. A couple months later, we started back up with the Zoom.
But did they shut down?
Or Facebook Live? Yeah.
I was going to say, they did virtual church.
Yes.
I mean.
So what I'm... The hard part of walking
I'm using
here,
body language here. Okay. I don't know.
But this gets back to the original point, though, is are we going to see Pastor Spell and look, personal takes aside, what he did presents problems for what everybody else did. What he did was he took a stand as a pastor. He took a stand, and the Louisiana Supreme Court has borne him out here. So do the rest of the pastors who said we followed an order.
So in this context, no, because he was the only one that was arrested. And remember, full circle, this was about him getting arrested and charged with a crime, and he wasn't. Now your point is, well, they did so out
of fear of being arrested.
Fear of being arrested, but I don't. Candidly, I think that when it comes to the civil arena, which is a different standard, I think they're going to say, civil courts are going to say, you know what, again, y'all are doing the best y'all could do. And yeah, it stunk that you had to shut down religious services for this period of time. But again, everybody was doing the best they could. And I don't know that civil rights, quote unquote, were violated in that sense.
For Pastor Spell, I don't see how they could prove that other than him, the actual arrest, which, I mean, he was also arrested for trying to run somebody over with a bus.
He tried to kill a man. With a trident.
Well,
not with a trident. With a bus.
And you got to use the word allegedly there because it was a very feeble attempt. It was a weak video.
His heart wasn't in it.
No, it was not.
And
that's to his credit.
Maybe Pastor Spell's love of God kicked in, and he
said, found the break.
I will not run over this person with this.
It's right there in the commandments.
It's on video. The whole thing is on.
It is on video.
Yeah.
It was like, to say that he was trying to run somebody over is a stretch.
It's like the Austin Power scenes where it's like, get out of the way, and the thing's moving at like
1 mile an hour.
Yeah.
I don't think he applied the accelerator. I just think he took his foot off the brake for a second. But that got blown so far out of proportion.
Buses are scary, man.
No, they are. They are in so many different ways. So do we close the book on this now? Because I think that's kind of where you're leaning.
I think if I were a betting man, I think the DA's office is probably done.
Okay.
I think unless they get some serious pressure from the governor's office to do something, I think they're done. And remember, generally the constitutionality of certain things, like could the AG's office could theoretically step in. They obviously wouldn't.
No. The AG's office put out a press release celebrating this,
applauding it.
Yeah,
applauding it.
Yeah, you're not going to see anything from the Attorney General's office for sure.
Maybe we won't hear about Pastor Spell again.
So, in our remaining 55 seconds. Him actually pursuing something further, would that keep him in the headlines or would it villainize him?
I think I don't think he's worried about the villainizing. I think he's all in at this point. So I don't know. If I'm him, I'm hoping that the DA's office appeals it because I want the Supreme Court to make a decision on this.
Okay.
If I'm him, that's what I want.
Which means local resources are going to have to be dedicated to chasing this rabbit.
Right.
He's Attorney Franz Borghardt. We will reconvene at 6:25 on Wednesday morning. See if we can avoid talking about Johnny Depp and Amber Heard and all that poop later on. But for now, I appreciate you stopping in. Legally Served comes your way every Wednesday, or when we have a bonus segment when the headlines do call for it. Okay, quick break for news. Coming back, let's talk about the Office of Community Revitalization next. Would you see who that is? I'm sure it's somebody wanting to complain about the pastor or complain about me. Just studio. Hey, you want me to talk to him for a sec? I got a minute. Hey, it's Brian. I apologize. We're moving on. We had another guest coming in next, so we're not going to be going to the phones. You had a take on the pastor? Are you serious? Because my problem is, and this, like, I say this with all sincerity, he's got 1,000 people that go to his church, and I don't want. 8:38. Talk 107.3 FM, WBRP, mornings with Brian Haldane, rolling right along, completely shifting gears to close the book on that last discussion and open up a new discussion. Press release came out Thursday afternoon. Mayor President Sharon Weston Broome announced that today Marlee Pittman will serve as the first Director of Community Revitalization for East Baton Rouge Parish. Marlee joins us now. Marlee, good morning. Welcome to Talk 107.3. How are you?
Good morning. I'm good. I'm excited for the week ahead.
Absolutely. It's, well, you got a whole new world in front of you here. Right. We're going to get into the job description in just a minute, but let's get to know you first.
Okay.
So who are you?
My name is Marlee. I'm born and raised in Baton Rouge. I'm from this community, and I've been working in the nonprofit space for a really long time in community development, affordable housing, and resident empowerment work.
Okay, let's get a little more granular there.
Sure. What
kind of nonprofit space and those things you just described cover a lot of ground. So what did you do, or where are you coming from specifically?
So I worked at Mid-City Redevelopment Alliance as their Director of Community Development. So I've worked a lot on kind of many of the projects that we know and love as exemplars of community development, of creative placemaking, of creating a place that people want to come and invest their money and their time and their love and their passion.
Mid-City Redevelopment Alliance has shown some wins in the recent years. What are a few of the ones that you would brag on?
Sure. So, I mean, I've been working with residents on Government Street to make sure it's reflective of what they want to see there. We've launched our Safe, Hopeful Neighborhoods in collaboration with the mayor's office, actually, and so we've been training dozens of residents, bringing them to national trainings, doing local trainings here, and giving them funding so they can do some really cool projects like the Pocket Park in Capitol Heights.
Wait, what's the Pocket Park?
If you've not been to the Pocket Park in Capitol Heights, it's one of those kind of hidden gems of Mid-City. It's on Capitol Heights, and it's a tiny little park that used to be a place where people would dump stuff. It's kind of next to the creek that runs through Capitol Heights, and now it's this vibrant place where you can bring your dog and you can grab a sip of water and have a seat under an umbrella. It's really lovely.
Capitol Heights is yes, very much utilized for that because you're one block off of Government Street, so
that's exactly right.
Avoid all the traffic and get from point A to point B, or get in the bike ride, or walk the dog.
Yes, lots of strollers in Capitol Heights. That's right.
All right, let's talk about the new role.
Sure.
You are the first Director of Community Revitalization. I've got to ask this in a very crass manner.
Please do.
Is our city government growing again?
No, I appreciate that question. We aren't. Actually, I think the mayor's office is leaner than it's really ever been. And what we're trying to do is we're not going to have general roles. Mayor really wants to lead with strategy, and she wants to have laser-focused staff who can move the needle as opposed to kind of bloat or things that we might associate with city government. So instead of having a team, she says I need one person to collaborate the resources, the partners, the staff that already exists. Let's not reinvent anything in our office. Let's lead with strategy, and let's bring all of these partners to the table that are outside of my office.
And how do you do that?
Well, a lot of it is through relationship building. Of course, I've been working in this space for a long time, so I know many of these people, but there are so many bright, dedicated, hardworking people in the city who care about it. And I think that they're going to be excited to come and work under a strategy that is overarching, that touches not just housing and communities, but also crime and quality of place, and health and well-being. So we're excited to lead. I think the other piece of this is that we've done a lot of research in conjunction with partners. Community partners have created this housing study that brings a lot of the data together around what our needs are in Baton Rouge. And so we'll be not only kind of leading with this overarching strategy, but also with data-proven methods, data to guide our implementation.
This sounds like a lot of service on a residential space for community revitalization. Does economic development play into your role?
Absolutely. I think we can't have strong neighborhoods without community assets, which is a fancy word in my field for the small businesses that you want to visit, the grocery stores you want to go to, and that's all a part of the work too. We want to make sure that we're creating neighborhoods that those businesses want to come to and feel safe in and feel welcome in and feel like they're going to be able to grow and thrive too. So this is a bit of a chicken or the egg situation, and we have partners we're not reinventing the wheels. We have BRAC, right, and they're focused on economic development. I want to make sure that they have neighborhoods to bring people to.
1,000%. Absolutely. And those things will tie hand in hand, but it all starts with these previous goals that you laid out beforehand. So let's start with the crime. Where do you go fighting crime? How does your office take a role here?
Sure. So this comes to our Safe, Hopeful, Healthy work, right? So Safe, Hopeful, Healthy is where we're doing this community-based public safety, where we're investing in families and we're investing in their communities. And I work on the equitable community development portion of that. I think we understand as a city, as a community, that crime does not happen in a vacuum. It happens when people are left behind. It happens when people don't have opportunities, they don't have things to do, or jobs to bring home other income sources, right? And we know a lot of our crime is associated
Okay,
with
but you
poverty.
just brought it back to the chicken and egg again.
That's right.
Like, how do we pick a starting point?
We have to address all of the facets community-based at the same time. We need to have BRAC working on bringing businesses to the area. And we need to have outside partners like BR Street Teams who are doing that grassroots, like, intervention in violent crime. And we need to make sure that they have neighborhoods that both of these sides can be proud of.
One of the biggest challenges we face in this city is that when it doesn't all happen simultaneously, everybody points the finger at everybody else.
That is so right.
So I assume this falls in your lap.
So let's not do that this time.
Oh, okay, but
yeah.
I'm going to get stuck on the how.
Go ahead.
I'm going to get stuck on the how.
The how has to be. It has to be that safe, hopeful, healthy. It has to be these pillars working together, meeting together, and digging in deep to make a difference at the same time.
How do we establish a report card for you?
I think a report card for me is going to come down to what all of the partners in this space are able to achieve in neighborhoods.
Okay.
I really see myself, and I believe Mayor sees myself as the convening power of all of the people that can make a difference. It can be, better, be more responsive to blight issues in the community. It can be, more affordable housing in the ground. We did a study, speaking of the kind of interconnected work of this, we did a study with an LSU research student. In Baton Rouge, for every 1% increase in home ownership, we see a 4% decrease in violent crime. So we need to create home ownership opportunities for people, and we need to create neighborhoods that are beautiful, that don't have traffic, that have access to the local businesses. So it's in general, it's hard to create a report card for community development, but it's often we look at the projects and we look at things over a long period of time. I want to see that my investments, all of the sacrifices that I'll make, all the projects I'll work on, will change the lives of people, not just today, but 10 years from now.
Well, and it's got to be a generational investment, because that's how long it takes to see results. Because at some point, education is going to get involved in the conversation.
Absolutely.
At some point, fighting crime stems back to education, stems back to blight. The whole thing, we constantly run into a paralysis by analysis. You mentioned it's going to be a big week.
It's going to be a big week. That's exactly right. So
what do you got going?
We're kicking off this. We're releasing some of the research and things that community partners have actually led. The new housing market segmentation study out of the Housing First Alliance. And it is this deep look at all of the challenges that are kind of facing us. So we have a lay of the land. We know that. And we're moving forward from there. Mayor is bringing some pretty big partners to the table to talk about it. Statewide partners, national people to come to this city and to talk about our challenges, but most importantly, to talk about our solutions.
What kind of housing challenges do we have?
So our neighborhoods look really different depending on where you are. And that's a challenge that we see. Over 50% of our renters are housing cost burden, and that's true for across the parish, right? I mean, that affects many of our children, our young people, our students, our young professionals. They're all housing cost burden, and so we need to find more affordable rental opportunities for them, and we need to invest in that. We need to bring landlords to the table and see that they're a part of this work. Some other big issues that we face is health outcomes for many of the people who are housed, and the aging housing stock plays a big role in that.
Does it?
It sure does.
We've had healthy initiatives on a number of times. It opens up all kinds of Pandora's boxes as well.
Health is another one of those things that really bleeds. All of this work really bleeds into each other.
Yes. What else is going on this week?
So the State of Housing Panel, we have, our new Louisiana Housing Corporation Executive Director coming. We have somebody from Enterprise Community Partners, and they're investing in big national projects. And let's bring them here. Let's get them excited about what's going on here. We also are going to be closing our applications for our Resident Leader Academy. So just like we need to bring kind of the big actors here, we need to get our residents' voices at the center of our decision making. So we're training them up, we're investing them with resources. So if there's any residents who want to be a part of that work, who are in disinvested communities, who want to understand this field and become a part of the solutions, we hope that you apply.
What qualifies as a disinvested community? Because there's a lot of perception involved here. There's an entirely disinvested community that decided to start their own city. Like, what qualifies as a disinvested community?
This is actually a really great, kind of wonky question, and so that's something that I find a lot of...
Well, I ask you with a minute and a half to go, so take it.
There's a HUD, there's a federal definition around, levels of poverty in an area, levels of lack of resources and things like that. But then there's a cultural perception, right?
Yes.
Cities that have been forgotten by not just the city, but by investors, by small businesses, and oftentimes by residents who have fled. So this can be a very challenging question to answer because a lot of the resources we're bringing in are federal, right? We don't want to use we want to bring in federal money to do this work. We have to go by that federal definition.
You had a lot of work to do, to be sure.
Yes, sir.
I'm going to bother the hell out of you. So I hope you don't mind. I don't. You're going to be a regular around here. She is Marlee Pittman, the new Director of Community Revitalization. Actually, we got about 45 seconds left. Sure. You said this is not a new post, just kind of a redefining of what the post was. Yeah. Are there past successes that you can lean on to try to replicate?
So the work of community development has been a part of the office for a long time, and we've had the Office of Community Development. They've and build Baton Rouge, right? And so they've invested in these big, exciting projects like the Plank Road Master Plan. They brought $5 million Advancing Cities national funding to our city. Mm-hmm. We've helped with EBR Housing Authority's New Choice Neighborhoods, and that's another several $1 million project that's going to completely change the Ardendale neighborhood. So we've got big projects on the book. Let's make sure that these are all working under a unified strategy, under Safe, Hopeful, Healthy, equitable community development.
Excellent. We will talk to you soon. Marlee Pittman, thank you so much for the time this morning.
Thank you.
All right, we got to check your money now. Going to check traffic one more time. And when we come back, closing it out next. We're not done just yet. We got more coming your way on Mornings with Brian Haldane right after this break. All righty. Thank you very much. That was excellent. As we move forward, I would like to tackle things one at a time. I think that's the only way to get a message. The whole, if your job is all of it's not direct, there's not, so.
Yeah, but I think providing the context of how it fits into the work is important, but ultimately it's going to have to be, we got to move on this scene.
Yes. Well, and that's where we've seen problems. Well, and that's the way we stay focused. Yeah. Not getting lost in not see the forest through the trees. Just pick a tree. I did not. It's all good.
No, I mean, I think that's a good point. We spend a lot of time just having so that we can.
But when we set up the Lsu program, we not only connected a bunch of people and we started
No, in fact, you're going to be hard pressed to find a handful of examples nationwide where lowering rents or whatever actually works long term. Oh, you absolutely will be back. Yes. You got the ESPN sounder? Okay. Oh. Where is Livonia? It's about perception, Mark. It's about perception. Oh, no. It's hey, look. There's never going to be a day where I don't. Well, so this conversation is, and this, like, we're still on YouTube. This conversation is going to evolve into how do you take our existing neighborhoods, our existing communities, and make sure that my taxes don't go through the roof. As a resident within the city limits, I know full well what's about to come down, and I say this with all respect, the people who stay are going to be punished. With what? I'm talking about when St. George becomes a city. Like, looking down the road to when all the appeals are exhausted and everything, my taxes are going to go through the roof if I choose to stay in Baton Rouge. How do we raise up everybody else, raise up the tax base to where we can tell St. George? How do we get there? I don't remember. We can't be this punchy already, Mark. There's a whole week to go. 856, Talk 107.3 FM, WBRP, Mornings with Brian Haldane, rolling right along. It is time. Time for the clergy draft, y'all. One segment to go here on Mornings with Brian Haldane. So if you are Catholic, you probably caught the news yesterday that clergy assignments for 2022 came out from the Roman Catholic Diocese of Baton Rouge. And it was all the hubbub, the texting back and forth, who'd you get, and whatnot. And I've always wondered why the diocese in Baton Rouge doesn't make a bigger deal about their assignments when it's time for the every year around this time we'll get the clergy assignments, and then everybody will be kind of reassociated on July 1st. So rather than just reading what the Catholic Church put out or what the diocese put out, I think we need to do this in kind of a different sort of way here. Let's just go ahead and start with pastor appointments. As I believe to start things off, St. Francis Cabrini in Livonia is on the clock. And the pick is in. With the first pick in the 2022 pastor appointments, Father David Dawson, currently parochial vicar of St. George in Baton Rouge, has been appointed pastor of St. Francis Cabrini in Livonia. And Cade, you could jump in on this, man. This is a big move. This is a bold first pick. I mean, you're talking about
like
Father
his homily time, solid.
He keeps it in time to keep that mass on a 1 hour schedule. Here's the interesting part that I see about this though. Why it's a controversial pick is that he's going from St. George to Livonia. That's a big move to go all the way from southeast Baton Rouge west of the Mississippi, heading right past Irwinville. Livonia, you may remember, is where we all drove to get gas after the hurricane last year.
Correct.
Remember when we were all out, we all had to go to Livonia to get gas? That's a big move for Father David Dawson.
He's known to have good pacing, starts on time.
He does.
No more than 2 minutes after the scheduled mass time. It's always important.
Sings his amens, I believe. I could be wrong about that.
Yeah.
I could be wrong about that.
That's 5-star.
We'll see how it plays. That's an A pick right off the bat. I believe next that St. John the Baptist in Bruley is on the... No, the pick is already in for St. John the Baptist in Bruley. Father Arun John, currently administrator of St. Francis Cabrini in Livonia, is going to be headed into town here. Or closer to town, I should say. Staying on the west side of the river. This is a big move to be sure, as St. John the Baptist in Bruley is getting a new pastor in Father Arun. Takeaways on Father Arun. He's got the measurables. He had a good combine.
Well, if he's in administration, solid administrative, he can keep the team on task, keep everybody in line. A good team player.
St. John the Baptist in Bruley, definitely making moves there. Hard to believe that as Sacred Heart of Jesus in Baton Rouge is on the clock right now. Hard to believe that Father Josh Johnson's still on the board. 3 picks in, and Father Joshua Johnson's still on the board. That's a surprise for a lot. You're talking about not just a first-round draft pick status of a pastor, but a number 1 overall in the mix here. Father Josh being picked up by Sacred Heart of Jesus in Baton Rouge. We're all familiar with this location, the challenges that it faces as a parish alone. Father Josh Johnson moving in here. Look, if you're on Florida Boulevard in Mid-City, you know to turn off on Marquette for Our Lady of Mercy. If you're continuing towards downtown, you get Sacred Heart, who picks up Josh Johnson. I should have done this in a longer segment. We're out of here, y'all. Yeah, okay, so the rest of the rundown is Father Todd Lloyd going to Most Blessed Sac down in the southeastern corner of the parish. Father Matthew Lorraine going to Our Lady of the Holy Rosary in Santa Ma. Father Amit Raj going to Immaculate Conception in Lakeland. And Father Tommy Thomas going to, he's currently at St. Jules in Belrose, going to go to, he's at Belrose and Pankerville. He's just being promoted out there. Moving into parochial vicar appointments, you got Father Bernard going to St. George, Father Matthew Dunn at Holy Ghost in Hammond, Tim Grimes going to Sacred Heart, and Charbel Jamari going to Our Lady of Mercy right there on Marquette in Mid-City. I got to get to our Monday meeting. We will see y'all tomorrow. Later.